was a great test run.
What was that all about then? What is that normal for where you are, or
No, once every
no?
30 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So I had a
scary.
little test run of having no power and, made a fire, cooked all the food on the fire. Like I've got a generator and all that stuff, but I just wanted to go bare bones. And it's good to plan for contingencies to have that experience so you know where your shortfalls are
Yeah,
in case of a total Mad Max scenario. So
yeah,
adds confidence to the ability to, I could survive this. This is fine.
yeah.
A lot of
Scary
other
stuff.
people were losing their minds though. They're like, "Hey, do you got an extra generator?" And I'm like, dude, it's a power outage. It's not like a nuclear bomb was set off. No, no, I don't have any lights. Oh my gosh, my tablet's not working. What am I going to do? So you know that if it actually does happen for real, and that was, I mean, these are just like tests. Oh my gosh, we're in for some wild times.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, isn't it? Because you're getting that firsthand
Hmm.
of if there was a big problem. Crikey, yeah, it's scary, isn't it? Really?
Teammate,
I fear more for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Gum.
how close to you was it?
Let's see. Oh, 4 streets over.
Oh wow, really?
That close. That close.
Yeah, it wasn't a really big one or anything, but it was close enough. It was a few streets over, and I think it had died down by then. But yeah, it did a lot of damage throughout the area. My stuff was all fine. Even my garden held up, which I was pretty impressed by. But I'm kind of surrounded by trees, so that kind of blocked the wind. But yeah, it's like 4 or 5 streets over. Roofs were coming off the houses.
So do you live in Ohio then?
Shh, don't talk about such things.
Well, I'm just
But
wondering.
yeah,
You've got a Cleveland Indians logo on.
yeah. But I've had that for a long time, even when I wasn't living in Ohio. I do it to represent the Native American community.
All right.
Indians,
Cool.
go Indians.
Well, I've got a friend who lives in Utah, and he's originally from Ohio, but he's from Cincinnati.
Mm, yeah, south side of Ohio.
So tonight there is no agenda. It's just a chill out chat. Hopefully, this is Camel's idea. Actually,
Yeah, my bad.
it's which it's the crack Camel's idea. So I think you should host it, Camel. Really?
What?
Yeah. Why not?
We cover your legs, but we don't want to see those.
Can't do that to me, CPM.
Why? I'm supposed to be. Look, I'm all chilled and laid back, mate.
You
With
do look
James.
very chilled. I will say
Yeah,
that.
he does. Yeah.
You do
Yeah.
look extremely chilled.
And that's why I set it up like this. I just thought, oh, I'm just
Have
gonna.
you been listening to Pink Floyd?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, Pink Floyd, man.
Did
Well,
oh, go on. Sorry.
go on, mate. Go.
I was going to say, did you have any idea what you were going to talk about, or was it just free form?
Me?
Yeah.
No idea at all. No
Okay.
idea. The only thing I would like to ask Kem, if he doesn't mind, is obviously he's an American, so it'd be interesting to have an overview of how he sees what's going on over here. That'd be interesting.
Dude,
If you if
I've been
even if you get, I don't
seeing.
know whether you give a shit about it or what or whatever.
No, no, no. So that kind of leads with the what do you call it? The monarchy or whatever that has the UK, Canada, Australia,
Yeah.
all that lot that would kind of spill over into everything else. And what I've seen so far is just like there's a lot of Islam stuff. I was actually going to ask you guys if that's actually true, if that's actually happening. Is that happening over there?
Personally, there's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of what's what's it called? There's a lot of people obviously online talking about it. But where I live, I haven't witnessed anything like it at all.
Been a little bit, but not much.
How are we doing, guys?
Hey,
Oh, he's here
Cobra.
at last.
Hello.
He's woke up.
Have you got your
I'm
lippy
so
on?
sorry. The bus was late to get me down to the pub, man. Apologies.
Have you got your lippy on? Put your lippy on in your eyeshadow.
My lippy and my eyeshadow. Listen, I'm not from the woke world.
Well, you're from down south, so as far as I'm concerned, you are.
Yeah.
Cobra. It's 2024, mate. You can identify as on time.
Listen, I identify as a bar of gold. That's it.
Excellent, excellent.
Shiny rock. I'm a shiny rock.
Shiny
So
rock.
yeah, the Muslims coming over.
No, Gordy.
No, Gordy. No.
Damn it! I wanted to take the piss out of him.
I'm here, Cobra.
Yeah, that's someone for me to have a go at.
Yeah, you can take the piss out of. Was this other guy coming, Cobra, or not?
No, my fault, bro. I have been running around like a nutter, which is why I'm late today.
Yeah.
I didn't call him until it was too late, and then it wasn't viable. But it's my fault.
Wow, you're so reliable.
Yeah, I'll try.
So, talking about the what you were saying about Muslims, I was talking to Pitt the other day on Instagram, and he was telling me, is it true that 60% of the population are Muslims? I know. What newspapers are you reading? I think they're about 4 million out of the population of 70. I think 90% of the country is white British. The rest are diverted into other communities. They're being told, I don't know if it's true, but he certainly heard that 60% of the population of Britain is Muslims.
Where's he? America?
Yeah, Las Vegas.
Yeah. This is the trouble. And
hang on, mate. Hang on.
Sorry. Go on.
Just to fill you in, I was just talking to Kem and just saying what was Kem like, because obviously Kem's in America. What was his perspective on what's going on in the UK? And he was just asking us that, oh crikey, what are we experiencing, you know? And I just said, well, for me personally, I haven't experienced anything. There's a lot of chatter on the internet. Stephen said he hasn't really witnessed too much where he is. So I don't know about you and Camel. I don't know if you've experienced anything personally.
Well, all we had from my side as a security firm was we were contacted by our local council because on Tuesday, you know, that fake information came out that there was going to be 100 different locations where there was going to be riots or protests or whatever. So our council closed down certain things. The whole high street was closed down. Banks were closing early. Shutters were up. Shops were being boarded. And I went into one bank before it closed down. And the lady said, oh, yeah, there's been cars set on fire in Rochester and Luton Road, another road near us, has got some stuff. So we drove down Luton Road, me and the missus, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing. So I think there's a lot of false information about what was going to happen after that weekend. But I directly have not seen anything. But yes, there's been things going on, but I haven't seen it myself.
Cool. What about Crack Camel?
Crack Camel is very fortunate to live in the middle of nowhere, out the way. So I haven't experienced anything at all. But I will say this, interestingly enough, quite a few people have messaged me either on Twitter or on YouTube to say they live abroad, they can see everything that's going on in the UK, and they're inferring, you know, riots, unrest, all that kind of stuff. And they were just saying things like, I hope you're okay. I hope you're not affected by it. You know, I hope the country sorts itself out. So, I mean, that's really, really nice. So thank you to anyone that reached out to check I was doing okay. And I'm pleased to say I am. But yeah, I don't think it's as bad as they're making out on the media. That would be my guess.
I agree.
But I will say this as well. I've had the Olympics on because I quite enjoy watching the sport. And in between the Olympics, there's been lots of adverts, and all they have shown is clips of riots and protests and stuff. So that is kind of interesting. They do seem to want people to be well aware of it.
And divided.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like dividing people
Agenda
for
time.
sure. So that's what I'm kind of seeing from my side is just a lot of unrest. Like that's all you get is the sensationalism that comes in the news, where it's just look at us, look at the doom and gloom, look what's going on. We're going into a decline or whatever, and it's very doom and gloomy. But it seems
Yeah.
like they're just trying to separate people from each other. It's all about a separation tactic to conquer. It seems.
Yes. So you're not paying attention to what they're doing, the government,
Yeah.
what they're really up to.
Yeah. But even if you look at this weekend or even this week, we haven't had much going on the whole week. And even on the weekend now, we haven't seen a lot of disruption or I haven't heard of much going on at all. So it seems like that last weekend or that last few days before the weekend, we had a lot of a big build up, a big a big hit out. And then it sort of calmed down and slowed down. I don't think people can come out every day and carry on doing it.
Oh, mate, I didn't tell you, Cobra.
Yeah.
We was going to have clean language night. And if we all agreed it, sorry, mate, you was late. So we was going to have a penalty for every time you swear it was an ounce of silver.
Okay.
So,
And that was so when I watch this back, right, I'll hear that. I'll hear that discussion, yeah.
No, mate, no, you won't,
Cobra,
because we done it. We done it by text.
Of
Cobra.
course you did, but I wasn't involved in the text.
Cobra,
No.
Cobra.
Yeah.
I will stand by you. If you want to swear, we'll swear. So bollocks.
Thank you. That's 2 ounces then. Bollocks
Yeah.
again.
A silver swear box.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting, actually, Kem, isn't it? Because and what Camel was saying, because obviously people looking outside in are just seeing this picture of mayhem.
Yeah.
And we are in apparently the mayhem, but we're not seeing the same picture. It's really weird. It's worrying.
Yeah. Well, I've got my friend in Canada. She phoned me. She says, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She says, "All the rioting is going on." I said, "Yeah, it's only going off in 1 or 2 places."
Mm.
I think what did we have? What, 8 places, maybe 8 or 9 places, including Northern Ireland as well.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, yeah.
It
but
was mainly the northwest, the northeast, and my hometown, unfortunately, that burnt a hotel down, or tried to.
Yeah, I saw that one. But yeah, this is it. So whenever it goes out on the media or social media, you're just going to see all the worst bits, because that's what pikes people's interest and gets views and gets watches, and yeah.
So similar to how it's going on in the UK with, like, you have Middle Easterns that are kind of, they say they're infiltrating the UK and Europe. In the United States, we have a border crisis on the southern border that's quite covered, where we have Latin Americans that are coming up. So overall, what does that mean? Like, for every immigrant that comes in, that's a boost to GDP, at least the way that I look at it. So maybe because the GDP numbers are getting so poor, they're bringing in a lot of immigrants just to get that number up, to not have people panic.
They caught here an illegal immigrant who was working on a building site in Manchester, and they were paying him £2.88 an hour, which is about $3.20 an hour. So this GDP thing, I think there's a lot of big companies that want them in so they can keep the wages down. That's what I think.
Well, there's definitely that. But like, even if all of these immigrants come in and they're on welfare, that still boosts your GDP number.
Yeah,
It's
Kima,
basically just how much money is spent.
I have to agree with you here. I think I said this on the last 2 Swigs and a Sig podcast, I think. when I was talking with Cobra and CPM, there's no quicker way to buoy the GDP, and we also seem to be slowly but surely heading into a recession, right? I also noticed on Monday just gone, when we had that kind of Black Monday sell-off in the markets. In between the Olympics, there's a bit of news and there's riots, as I said earlier. But then I noticed they seem to be performing damage control, where they had some economic expert going, does this mean a recession is coming? Is this going to continue? And they had this woman stand there and go, no, everything's fine. There's no recession. Actually, the numbers look okay. And I remember turning to my wife, and my wife was like, do you see that? I was like, yeah, I see that. That's damage control. They're trying to make this out to be like not as bad as it really is. So, yeah, interesting.
Did you? I was reading something the other night about Saudi Arabia, Germany, Holland, and a few other countries repatriating all the gold from the Bank of England vaults. I don't know if anybody else has heard that.
What do you mean?
No.
You know the Bank of England, all the vaults of gold down there.
Yeah.
It all belongs to other countries.
Yeah.
Well, I would say 95% of it, because it's a secure trading market, like New York and London are the two big financial centers.
Yeah.
And they put their gold there because it's stable. And now they're repatriating it all.
What do you mean by that? Educate me, dude, on the big word.
Taking it back to Saudi Arabia and Turkey, and Germany and Holland.
I remember seeing a thing in the news a couple of years ago where a country was trying to get it back, and the UK said, no, you can't have it.
Oh, that was the great socialist experiment that failed in Central America. Venezuela. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
They told him they couldn't have it back because he was a bit of a tyrant. The guy who was in charge of president, prime minister, whatever they are, in Venezuela. So they said you can't have the gold. You've got to get your economy stable, I think, and you can have it.
And that kind of speaks to have it on your person. Counterparty risk. That seems to be a theme kind of coming up. Is you better own your stuff and hold it yourself, because financial institutions, even sovereign nations, they don't necessarily have your best interests at heart.
George Carlin said it. If you've ever seen that his stand-up routine, they're coming for you, coming for everything that you own. They want your tax, going to increase your taxes. They're even going to come for your welfare because you're not. It's a big party. We're not invited. And if you think they give a shit about you, think wrong. They don't give a fuck about us.
That's 3 ounces of silver.
Keep the count going.
So a
lot of people think that they want the powers that be want everybody to be poor, and is that necessarily the case? In order to think that, you really have to expect that they actually do care about you at all. And in my opinion, we're just ants that are kind of in the way of these giant whales that are playing whale games with regards to sovereign nations or big corporations and stuff like that. They don't care about us. They don't care whether we lose money or gain money. As long as they're covering their net, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
We're just in the way.
How much do you think? Excuse me.
Yeah, excuse me. I've got a big bogey up my nose.
Nice.
And it had to come out.
Love it. How much do you think that the powers to be would even worry about us?
No. Don't give a shit about us. It's their party.
Other than the possibility of unrest.
Well, that's why they try to divide us. They don't want free thinkers. People who think for themselves. They don't want those people. They don't want the public, the masses, to get together. That's the thing they don't want. Because once that happens, bye-bye, they're fucked.
There must be
outnumber them.
There must be an argument to be made that they need some people to keep the world running, though, right?
Yep.
Like someone has to manufacture the food and the clothing and the basic necessities. Someone has to keep the power stable, right? Someone has to keep the water coming, cleaning. So they must have some use for us somewhere.
Food.
Yeah, but it might be less in the future though, because AI and all the robotics and stuff that are going to come and assist that, you you don't really need as many slaves at that point.
Yep.
So maybe they need some, but not as many as we would hope.
Well,
Pretty much maybe.
this is a depressing down a pub chat, isn't it?
Isn't
Yeah.
it? I'm sitting there thinking, oh, right.
We're all gonna die.
Cobra.
Might as well drink.
Come on, Cobra.
Cheers to that.
Dude, so what's it like? Obviously, Cam, you're from the other side of the pond. Uh, do you obviously the USA is so much bigger than ours? But I mean, what's the feel? What's the feel on the ground there that you're sort of experiencing? Similar or
Similar, but I don't think it's quite as bad. Like people talk about inflation, gas prices rising and stuff, but I think it's hurting the UK more. Over here, it's definitely there, and like people that don't have assets, kind of like you were talking about in your video earlier.
yeah,
If you don't have assets, you're kind of left by the whims of inflation and debasement.
yeah,
So a lot of people are definitely feeling that. They're like barely covering their rent, definitely living paycheck to paycheck, which is one of the worst feelings you could have. But they're too busy trying to get that next paycheck to think about their future. So it's just keeping the mindset trapped in the rat race, basically. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely feel it. Definitely see a lot of people that I know that I come across, and they're buying things at the store. They're just like, oh, I can't really afford all of that. Buying less food, um, or buying at cheaper stores. The quality of their goods that they're buying is a little less. So yeah, there's definitely some kind of economic contraction going. Kind of see it more in the UK though, from just my perception.
Yeah.
It really seems like people are, and Canada as well. Canada just seems like we're screwed over here. Somebody needs to help, and it's like, well, don't wait for somebody else to help you. You know?
Help
What's
yourself.
what's the perceived threat of civil war over there, Chemo?
Hmm. Depends on how political you are. Like, what is there's 350 million people in the U.S. Registered voters end up being like half of that, and I would say probably half of that number watch politics quite a bit. So that's like 60 to 75 million. So you'd have maybe 10 to 15 to 20% of the population that are real strongly about it. They feel very strongly like if that person gets in, we're screwed. If that person gets in, we're screwed. Not looking at the bigger picture that you're likely screwed anyway. But the 20% of the population, they're like, yeah, the stuff's going to get real bad here. And we could have some type of civil unrest that leads to a civil war. You'd kind of expect that to be around the election when people are all crabby that their candidate didn't make it in, and that could escalate things. So then you think about that uh, destabilization, really. I think that would have an effect on like the treasury market, bond market, because the United States would be seen as a little less stable, a little less rule of law. So then your bond market could take a hit, and that could lead to very, very large problems. Like the debt worldwide could be affected by that. So yeah, 20%, 25% of the population, they kind of feel something coming. Me, I'm like, yeah, I could see it happening. It would be orchestrated, just like everything else. But it seems like that's the orchestration that's happening. They're really pushing for the total division. The other side sucks no matter what. And I'm just looking at it from the outside, like you guys are both crazy.
Do you think we would have seen a civil war if the shooter had have hit DT?
Wow. Mm-mm. Yeah, Yeah, I think in small parts, I think we could definitely see that happening. There would be too many people that would be like, that is orchestrated, because that goes back to the JFK days, John F. Kennedy, and people are still talking about that, what,
Yeah.
60 years later.
Didn't somebody have a pop at Reagan as well?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, somebody had a go
Reagan
at
was a good sport about it, though.
Mhm.
But yeah, things like that haven't been happening for the past few decades. So this is kind of the fact that somebody actually made an attempt is kind of eye opening. It's like, oh, we're kind of back to that era again. So maybe it's like cyclical, where it's like more people are more willing to do such a thing. So I don't know how things were back in the '60s with regards to like Civil War type thing. I know they had a lot of talk about Nazis or communism, carrying your communism card or whatnot. So people were very much against that, but then there were people that were for it. So then it was like, I view that as like some spy type stuff where um, people were like covert communist card carrying commies, and the patriots had to stop the commies at all costs. But didn't really hear anything about civil wars. There was a lot of civil unrest with the affirmative action stuff and black communities and getting their rights, human rights and stuff in the United States. So maybe we have a period that's similar to that, like cyclically talking, um, that it's similar to the civil unrest that was happening around then in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, maybe we could be leading into that. But that's close enough to a civil war to destabilize the kind of the trust of the United States and like the bond market.
Kimo, do you think the attempt on Donald Trump was a soul shooter, like they say, and that was just him, or do you think it was deeper than that? And what does the American public feel like on that subject?
Right now, it kind of seems like old news. People don't really talk about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's just kind of swept under the rug.
Wow.
A lot of people were initially they were just like, "Oh wow, we have an attempt on a public figure like that." But yeah, I haven't heard too much about it. We're kind of back to the same old, same old. It's kind of you have a spike in sentiment, and then okay, that dies off. What's next? What are we waiting for next? So yeah, I haven't
And
heard
do you feel it was just an individual who tried it yourself?
Oh no, not at all. Myself, I feel that was I don't know who orchestrated it. I don't know if it was a legitimate attempt, but I think that whole thing could be staged very easily to make. I mean, the photo ops were just great. I don't want to put or cast any doubt or anything like that, but that kind of casting doubt. But it is
So
possible to just orchestrate that.
you think it was actually it could have been Donald Trump's side who actually staged that? Then is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, because like he touched his ear. He could have cut his own ear with a little razor blade or something like that. You never know. Just it's just so lucky to just turn your head at the right moment and be like, oh, missed me. Like, really? Wow.
But if you're going to stage something like that, would you have someone killed in the crowd?
Yeah. And once again, goes back to they don't care about us. I mean, we're just pawns in their game, so it's a sacrifice.
I remember
really
the news over here was saying this guy was a Republican, but I saw the video of the guy, and I think he was sat in his car or vehicle, whatever, and he was saying, "I hate Donald Trump because he's a Republican, and I hate all Republicans." And I'm like, is this guy a Republican or what?
he was probably paid. So what side is he on? I don't think he had much political interest other than take down the system, maybe.
It was a
I always lent on the side of like a deep state thing.
Yeah.
That's what seemed most likely to me if I had to bet.
Yeah, I can't see Trump's administration actually orchestrating this themselves. I don't see that. Live bullets were fired. You're saying he could have put his hand up to his ear and cut his own ear and all that. I don't see that. And as I say, live bullets were fired. They were random. They were all over the place. So it was either, for me, it was either the individual himself, just an off-key geezer who went and did this, or it was something on the other side, a lot deeper, where someone or some groups or corporations did not want Trump in.
But there was another shooter, right? There was another shooter, or maybe even another two shooters. One in the water tower and one in the empty building behind where the young kid shot from. So
like Kennedy assassination all over, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, same playbook, right? Same playbook. Really weird. So for me, I definitely lean more on the deep state side of things.
Was there any proof of two shooters? I saw the video where it looked like there was a sort of shadow up at the water tower and all that lot, but I don't. It wasn't clear enough to really make out. So I don't know how.
As far as I'm aware, it's been official news that there was more than one shooter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
all
so.
right.
Not heard that.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's official news. There was another shooter.
Apparently, there's some nutter who's climbed up the Eiffel Tower today.
Today?
Yeah.
What, with a gun or just climbed up there?
I don't know. I've just seen a video on Facebook of this guy climbing up the Eiffel Tower, and they've closed the Eiffel Tower now. So whether or not somebody wants to commit suicide or disrupt the closing ceremony, no idea. But I've seen the video of this guy climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
Are we missing the closing ceremony?
I don't know. I will just have a look on the TV. That would be a shame, wouldn't it? That France's Olympics gets disturbed. Oh, I will cry tears. Not.
Closing ceremony or closing rituals?
Yeah, the latter.
Very briefly before we move on, about the deep state saying that the Donald Trump shooting was a deep state operation. Who's to say Donald Trump and his whole camp is not deep state as well?
Oh, it's a very good point.
Very, very much so. I kind of see both parties, both sides, as two wings of the same bird.
Yep.
It's controlled opposition or whatever, and they're just meant to argue just to stall, basically, and spend taxpayer money.
Yep.
So that's kind of the way I see it. I don't trust any of them. But yeah, go on to the rituals.
It's really interesting. One of the interesting things you just said, Cam, was sorry, I was going to burp. But I don't think you get penalised for that, do you?
Yes, ounce of gold.
Oh, you do? An ounce of gold? Jesus.
To each of us.
I'll keep that in and fart instead.
That's 2 ounces of gold.
2 ounces of gold. The interesting thing what Kemmer said, which Cobra reacted to there, was the fuss has all died down so quickly. It's almost as if, what does that mean? Does that mean, and I get that sort of feeling here, you know, most people are so entrenched in their day-to-day hamster wheel now, and I call that entrapment, but that's what we're all in, that you just don't get, oh, well, whatever, I've got to carry on, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And that's like unbelievably interesting, because that means that most people will be not really affected by anything that's going on in the background whatsoever, which means a deep state, whatever they're doing, will just get sorted, and people won't be interested. They will just keep doing their thing.
You know the old saying, don't you, CPM?
Go
on. You might not get this. What's his guy name? The guy in America.
Ken.
Today's news, tomorrow's chip paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very true.
That's the old saying.
Yeah,
it's very true. Very, very, very true indeed.
Yeah, well, it's just like that Jeffrey Epstein Island stuff. That stuff is all gone. Like, what happened to that? That was obviously very shady.
Yeah,
that's all gone. So is the Ghislaine Maxwell, his counterpart. That's kind of all swept under the rug. That's huge stuff going on, and like, they'll just sweep it under the rug. I would say, with regards to politics in the U.S., there is a big push for Kamala Harris now. Like, she seems to be gaining momentum. I don't see how, but because I don't really follow the politics all that closely, but from what I'm seeing, it's just like Kamala is she's making great choices when 6 months ago she was like not even in the running. There's no way we're gonna have her as a president, and now she's like, oh, she's a great choice. And like, where did that come from? Like, no. And then her running mate that she chose, Waltz or something like that, some random dude that I've never heard of before, and he's supposed to be just a great pick when kind of the people were talking about some other dude, Shapiro or something like that,
Mhm.
or Booty Gig would have been the way to go. But no, and I think the news is all shifted towards supporting that character in our theater here.
Well, she's out here in these streets, right?
Uh,
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad, mad, mad. It is mad.
Well, I'm just watching the headlines on Sly News, and there's nothing about this guy on the Eiffel Tower. Nothing.
Weird.
I heard there's been plenty of riots and protests outside the Olympics, and they haven't made it onto the media, the mainstream media.
Oh, they cleared everybody out, didn't you? The immigrants that were living in tents in Paris.
Yeah.
They cleared them all out. The army came in and the gendarmerie came in and cleared them all out, and it was like riots all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah, they've done that before. It's the woods, isn't it? They've done that before, and they just regather.
Oh, once the Olympics are over, they'll be back. They'll be back.
Yeah,
They just
Keeping up appearances.
They just want to, They just want to make Paris look great for 2 weeks while the Olympics is on, and we all know that Paris is in France, so it's bound to be a shithole. Fucking French.
I'm sorry for all my French viewers that watch this.
Fucking surrender monkeys.
Chill, Steve.
What's up, it's Germans?
Brilliant. Cobra, on one of your, I picked up, I didn't realise you was involved with all this. Did you say you was doing some work with immigration over in France at some point?
yes, yeah.
What was that all about?
So we have a British border over in France, as in it's still our land, classed as our land. You know what I mean? Just for the purposes of passport control and all that. So you go through French and then English, yeah.
Where's that?
And then you've got a line which is basically, right, this is British, as in just for the passport control and all that. So anyone who was caught in the trucks or anything on the French border, we would be handed to us. We had to process them, do a load of paperwork and put them in the cells there, and we'd hold them until the French police then came and collected them and took them out of the port. But they would literally take them to the other side of the fence, maybe a bit further up, and drop them off. And then we'd get them the next night or the night after, literally the same people. So they just attempt it again and again and again. So, yeah.
Wow.
So we have our own border force out in France as well. That's on the ports.
What was that, Calais?
Both Calais and what's the other one called? Slightly further up towards Holland and all that lot. Belgium and Holland. Further up the coast, there's Calais and there's another one as well, which is a crossing point.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, so I was out there.
Wow.
Apparently, lorry drivers, they get fined for it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Even if they didn't know they were on.
Yeah, because what they're saying to them is they should make sure that their trucks are secure and this and that and the other. But the trouble is these people will cut the ropes on the side that hold the big sheets across and slip in, but they'll place the ropes back in such a way that it don't look like it. So they're very, they use their initiative on how they can get away with stuff and do stuff, It's really hard on the drivers. I think it's a bit wrong, really, on the drivers, but that's the way they're trying to control it,
You could see why, if they didn't have that as a rule, then people could just be like, well, I didn't know. right?
Yeah,
I'll bring a
yeah,
whole lorry of people paying $1,000 per person, and they would just
yeah.
be able to say, "Well, I didn't know they snuck on," right? So I can see why they put that there.
Absolutely, but it is harsh on the people who get caught when
Yeah,
it really ain't their fault. You know, they
yeah,
honestly didn't know.
yeah,
So I do feel for them as well. It's harsh.
yeah,
It
for
is
sure.
harsh.
I mean, if they do they get fined per immigrant?
Yes,
So
per
there's like
person.
10, 15 of them on there. They could like bankrupt this guy's business if it's a one-man operation.
Oh, it can cause big hassles for the ball guys. Yeah, yeah. I
God.
believe the companies get fined as well.
No, we're saying if the guy's got a one-man operation, he just drives
Oh,
the
right,
truck.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, oh man,
Harsh. Very, very.
yeah,
I
very.
think a bit unfair. I think a bit unfair. But as Camel just said, I can see the thing behind it. But yeah, it's just on the individual, it's very harsh.
Big time. What you all drinking, guys?
Iron brew.
Iron brew.
I'm on water.
Yeah.
I was
Leave it.
gonna have it. I was gonna have a drink, but I was so
Bailey,
pushed
Bailey,
to get in there that and I've had so much going on today. So
got a
yeah,
Bailey
I'm
under
just
the
on the
desk.
water.
Got a Bailey's under the desk.
No, I haven't.
I thought you were gonna have some whiskey tonight. Anyway,
I was, bruv. I was. My day's just been hectic. So
Every day's hectic with you, innit, Cobra?
it is, brother. I'm telling you, it bloody is.
No peace.
Oh, yeah, it's just time of year. It really is the time of year. It's just so busy.
When's
But
the
yeah,
quiet time for you?
when it gets to September, August, then it goes quite a little bit quiet, not majorly. September, August, November, then it goes mental in December, and then January and February are quiet, and then it picks up again, and off we go again.
Right.
So there's a few months here and there where you get little breaks and you can just breathe again. And then it just goes mad. Yeah, summer's extremely busy for us. There's so many events, there's so many sort of big festivals, and then with the riots, like people panic and they call in security, and then we've had problems with some sort of warehouses being broken into and stuff, and yeah, and close protection has gone mad. I'm getting calls all the time, and we've had to spread all our officers out to different jobs. I had a wedding and a load of stuff to do next weekend. I've had to cancel it all, and I'm shooting up to Scotland. So yeah, a lot going on. A lot going on.
okay then. Been up in your kilt.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
spot on.
We could probably chart that data and give you a trade setup where you'll know when when you're going to have a spike in activity there.
Yeah.
No. For sure, Camel will have a chart for me somewhere. You know what I mean, hang on, Cobra. Let me just check the charts and see what day you'll be busy this week. Yeah, no problem. It's better though, Cobra. If you don't do it just on a weekly basis, let's do it throughout the year. You know, long spread rather than a short spread. Don't monitor it over the short period, Cobra. Yeah, all right, bruv. Whatever you
Yeah.
say.
And yet, with all those charts, CPM will tell you I can still never remember when I'm supposed to be on a podcast or
No.
doing a video.
It's just, I've always said to Cobra, I said, fuck's sakes, excuse me, that's another
Ounce of silver.
Ounce of
Ounce of
silver.
silver. There you
Ounce
go.
of silver.
There you go.
Practice what you preach.
Ounce of silver. There you go. God, I don't know what I was going to say now.
Something about me having a PA, I think.
Oh, yeah. A Cobra needs a PA. Camel needs a PA. You boys are really busy, but I will say, Camel and guys, you think Cobra's busy when he's talking about he's busy. You go and spend a weekend with him. He's busy anyway. You know, like New York, the city that never sleeps. Well, Cobra never sleeps either. He's a workaholic. He's just on the go all the time. It's like
Even when
amazing.
I'm at home, I'm trying to work things out and place orders for things and sort out another security thing. And yeah, it don't stop.
Cobra, do you ever have any downtime?
Rarely, but I mean, look, my holidays, when I have a holiday, I thoroughly enjoy. So I do have some good holidays with the missus, and we go off and we go diving, we do this and that and the other. And sometimes she goes, even on holiday, why don't you just relax on the beach? Look, I'm brown, right? I don't need a tan. So I don't want to lie on the beach. So I want to go scuba diving. I want to go quad biking. I want to get jet skis and all that. So it doesn't stop even on holiday.
And you want to go back to silver and gold in Florida.
Yeah. I can't
never
sit there and
stop.
do nothing.
You can't relax, can you?
I can't.
Amazing.
No, it's good. It's good. I respect it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I do prefer it like that, but sometimes it gets on top.
Should have some rest to kill you.
Cobra, can I ask you actually, as a workaholic, do you find it hard to balance a relationship with Mrs. Cobra, or do you think somehow you find the time to get that stuff done as well?
So I'm very lucky with that. So in previous relationships, it's absolutely put a strain, and sometimes it hasn't worked out partly because of that and other reasons. With Mrs. Cobra Stacker, I'm very lucky because she is so understanding. But yes, we do spend time together. We went out and had a lovely day today earlier, and went for lunch and all that lot. But yeah, sometimes it's a strain. Like, you know, she'll be sitting downstairs on her own watching TV, and I'm up here doing whatever I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it can be hard, but she's an amazing woman. She's very understanding in what I do, and she knows it's for the benefit of all of us. And you know, it's not always for the money. The security obviously is. That's my business, but the other stuff isn't necessarily for money. It's just it keeps me busy, and I don't know. It's just me. She knows what I'm like. But yeah, sometimes I do feel I've got to spend more time with her.
No, I understand completely, because the reason I asked is my auntie is staying down here at the moment, and I was catching up with my auntie earlier on, took her out for dinner and stuff, and yeah, she was saying, so tell me about your work day, Camel, tell me about this. So I was telling her, and then she kept saying, she's like, it doesn't sound like you give Mrs. Camel enough attention. You're like, you sure you're giving the wife enough attention? And I said pretty much exactly what you just said, that I'm really lucky she's very understanding and she seems to appreciate the work and everything else. So yeah, I tried to
I think sometimes though, even for me and you, brother, even though they're so understanding, we should make more of an effort sometimes, because they can be understanding, but they still might feel it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like you said, taking them out for dinner and stuff is that's a surefire way. My wife loves being taken out for dinner, so that works for me.
Doesn't Mrs. Cobra wife? She works away a lot, doesn't she? If I remember rightly.
No, she did. She was a national manager for a big car firm. Well, the biggest in the UK. She's just in the middle of changing jobs, so at the moment she's got a lot of downtime. I think she restarts next Monday, but it's going to be a local car firm, as in still a very big company, but more local. So she won't be travelling up and down the country now, which is good. It's nice.
She's going to work at your car lot, isn't she? Half a Daily Incorporated. All right.
I tried that once. I went to auctions and bought cars and tried to sell them. I think I bought the KA car, and I had to drive it back from the auction. Oh my god, it was horrendous. I'm 6'4". It's not good.
So your head popping out of the room.
Yeah, but that didn't last long. I think I bought and sold 3 cars and realised I wasn't making enough money and thought, no, I can't bother. I'm not doing this one. Hello?
Hello.
Wow. Silence. But I was just talking to myself.
Yeah, are you dead?
I was
I'm here, dude. Yeah,
I was laughing at the thought of you squeezing into a KA.
Bro, it was horrendous. I've actually got a photo of it. I'll have to find it and send it to you. Horrendous.
Kettle on wheels.
Yeah, my shoulders were like right across the whole car.
Did you look like the Flintstones with the feet through the bottom?
Bro, it was worse. My head was through the top. It was worse, man. Seriously. Flintstones would have had a right laugh at it.
Everybody look at CPM. He's absolutely mashed.
Pardon?
You're mashed. Look at him. He's mashed. Look at him.
Smashed.
He's all right.
Drunk.
I'm fine.
Chillaxing, man. He's chillaxing.
I'm well chilled.
You'll have a hammock for the next episode.
I'm well chilled. Yeah, well.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
What's up with those guys getting arrested and jailed for retweeting some stuff that you guys got going over there? That's got to be scary.
Great question.
Well, Chemo, the thing is now, the government are using what's happened with these protests and what happened with social media, which sort of, let's say, sparked the initial thing where wrong information got out. And they're now trying to Well, this is where the freedom of speech side comes in, because they're now trying to restrict what can be done on X or Twitter or whatever, and sort of saying that there's certain things that aren't allowed, or restricting Twitter in what it can do, or X in what it can do. So
To
yeah,
control the narrative.
they're using the whole situation now to curb freedom of speech, as I would say.
Isn't that
Oh,
Bert who's head of the Met Police track going after Elon Musk?
Yep, they are. They've been talking about him on the news, on the
What a
mainstream
brat.
media, and talking
What
about
an
how,
idiot. The guy's
yeah.
oh, God.
But they have, to
Elon
be
Musk.
fair, Chemo, they have always been able to use social media to persecute people. So if you were arranging to buy or sell drugs on Facebook or whatever else, they've always been able to say, well, here's the emphatic proof that you were arranging to do that. So they've always been able to use it for that.
Yeah.
And like if you harass someone or whatever, then again, they've always been able to persecute you for that. I saw on the
They're
news
able to, but they don't always do it though. They
no,
persecute
they
when they
don't.
want.
Yeah, yeah. I think what's weird is they kind of started to push this idea that if you even retweet something about something they deemed to be inciting violence, then you could be in trouble.
Yeah.
Which obviously becomes very Orwellian and tyrannical.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing: is what someone perceives. Someone up there perceives it to be wrong, and so therefore it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? So who is the Almighty God to make that decision now?
Yeah, and someone did get 12 weeks in jail for writing something like, I think it was words to the effect of "filthy bastards." I think that's what they wrote.
Filthy bastards.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's something that like keeping people in line and like controlling the story of basically the picture that they want to paint. So they're like, we want people to perceive it this way, and any detraction from that is like, cut off those limbs, stick with the same story, so that people are all in line.
Yeah,
Very Orwellian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then I do wonder if some of that is just make an example out of one person and then hope that people get scared and stop retweeting things.
This Starmer's on a mission.
I'm sure you guys all think twice now. Look at it and be like,
Yeah, Starmer's on a mission.
Yeah,
what's on a mission?
Country.
He's on a mission. He's a Marxist.
Oh,
Think of
the new guy, the new
Trudeau
prime minister over there.
Think of Trudeau on acid. That's what Keir Starmer is.
Trudeau on acid, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, that's our prime minister.
Yeah.
Honestly, acid would do them a world of good. I think it might open up some of their third eye and allow them to maybe have a bit more compassion.
You're a proper junkie, aren't you, bruv?
He is.
Junkie, man. Crack, acid. Do you know what I mean? Heroin. You're just a junkie, bruv.
They're vitamins for your soul, Cobra.
Well, whatever the government's doing now hasn't been working very well for the past decade or so. So yeah, I mean, try something different.
Since Tony Blair. Tony Blair.
What about him?
Evil.
Oh.
Very horrible. Evil. Nasty. Man.
They're all the same though, aren't they?
No, he's just evil. Just look, you have to look at his eyes and just, it's a devil incarnate. I mean, he took us into 2 illegal wars. Ridiculous. And then he left those poor military policemen in Baghdad. Didn't have enough ammunition, and he got hacked to pieces on a lie. Tony Blair and his little sidekick from Burnley.
Do you think if there had been anyone else in government that they wouldn't have done the same thing? We're puppets. We're puppets for America. So when America want to go in, we run inside with them and do it. So it wouldn't have mattered who. I don't think it would have mattered who was in power. They would have done the same thing.
I don't like Tony Blair's evil.
I've got a good question with that. Who has really got the power? Is it America, or is it Brit, or is it somewhere else?
Somewhere else.
But yeah, well, where?
Elites.
Pardon?
Elites.
Yeah, but I mean, is that like outer space, or where's that?
It's what you would call, what do they call it? The people that go to a place in Davos. Those people. Those people. Those are the guy from. I think he's originally Hungarian. I can't remember his name now, but he sinks a lot of money into these left-wing groups.
That's Soros. Soros?
George Soros, yes. He's particularly evil. How he made his money. He was a Jewish man, and he lived in Hungary. And when the Nazis invaded Hungary, he grassed all the people on the street that were Jewish to the Nazis. And his reward from the Nazis, he kept their property, and that's how he built his wealth up. What a horrible, evil man! He
destroyed the British pound at one point. Like,
yeah, he did. Yeah, I was about to say that he crashed the pound when the what was his name? Was the Chancellor of the Conservative?
Brown. Gordon Brown.
No, before Norman Lamont.
Oh, Norman Lamont. Yeah.
Yeah, he crashed the pound. When we were about to join the euro or not, and the pound went down, he was behind all that allegedly.
George Soros.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, he was seen as a hero at one point. There was publications that were saying if he didn't do that, then we wouldn't have cleared out all the malinvestment. The economy is way better since George Soros did that. It was a good thing, the way they spun it in some of the history readings that I've read over the years.
Scary. So where's the real power then, guys? Stephen said it's the elites.
George Soros
Outside of this construct.
Sorry?
Outside of this construct.
Outside of this construct. That sounds very crap.
Dimension.
That's here we go. We're going.
The little green men come to get you.
We're getting very deep here.
Are they green? I don't think that you'd be able to actually perceive their color. You can get way out there with this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the greys. That's what they call them, the greys, don't they?
The greys.
Well, in our minds, like, we live our day-to-day lives, and we have developed over the years, assuming an evolutionary path, or we were built for this realm to only use our 5 senses or 6 senses, depending on how adept you are. So there can be a whole nother realm that we're just not perceiving at all. Just because we can't see it, taste it, smell it, doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that we don't know it's there. So that's the next level construct.
The 4th dimension.
Or 5th, or 6th.
All the way up to 11th.
Time. Yeah. Is the 4th dimension time? Could that be
time is in every dimension, right?
I don't know. I haven't been to the other dimensions to report on that.
Maybe you need some acid chemo.
There you go. There you go.
Don't forget with drugs.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
Is it just me? But are we beginning to see like that Camel is definitely a drug dealer?
100%.
Yeah.
100%, bro.
Always got a,
I think the reason he's so secretive and all that lot about himself is not because he's worried about his stack or anything like that. It's because he's a dealer.
Yeah.
So he keeps information quiet.
We are now getting way out there.
Hang on. All the other conspiracy theories and dimensions and all that ain't way out there, but you being a drug dealer is way out there. Please, brother.
I mean, don't forget, where was the smuggling capital of the UK over the past 2 or 3 years?
It's where he lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The rocky coves in Cornwall and Devon and Somerset.
Camel, is there a port near you? Any sort of port?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Don't lie. You control it. You control it, bruv. Why are you lying?
I mean, I've been pretty open. What we do on the channel, we smoke crack and we find the cycle lows, right? I've been pretty open about that. But I don't need to sell drugs. I can assure you, I don't need to sell drugs.
Oh, you just take them, yeah?
What?
It's way more profitable to sell the idea of drugs. Open your mind. Join the camel crew.
Yeah, what was it? They need LSD to open their minds.
Wow, we've wondered why you got such a quick following. Yeah, dodgy. Oh, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. It's more like pub bollocks, isn't it? Really, it's cool.
Ounce of gold.
Pardon?
Ounce of gold.
An ounce of gold, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm not going to end up with a stack at all at this rate, am I?
I've got Mr. Pitt bullying sending me screenshots. I'm gonna have to look on the phone.
Cool.
CBM,
So, guys,
what's the deal with the bird behind you?
that was one of my pictures I took.
I've not seen a bird like that before. What is that?
That's called a red kite.
Well, they just reintroduced them. They're getting out of control as well, aren't
Yeah, it's a picture of a red kite that I took locally.
That's a hawk, right?
Well, it's a bird of prey.
Yeah.
But yeah, you used to see them a lot in the M40 corridor down Oxford Way years ago. And now they've introduced, well, very slowly they've worked their way up the M40 corridor more into the outskirts of Oxfordshire, Worcestershire, Warwickshire, and getting more into even out to Leicestershire that way, slowly moving up the country. Beautiful looking birds, beautiful, really beautiful, big as well, quite big. But yeah, that's one of my nicest pictures I've got. So just thought I'd put it in the background. Probably
It's very
more,
nice, mate.
probably for more interesting to look at than me.
I don't know. You've been looking pretty relaxed tonight.
Oh mate, well chilled. That last package you sent me really worked.
Stop it. You're going to get me in trouble. I
Yeah.
go to jail for this these days.
Well,
This is going to stick soon. This is going to stick on Camel's finger.
Absolutely.
That means
You've
he
got-
actually is.
he's got the crack camel on there.
Yeah.
Sort of giving it away a little bit.
it? Wasn't talcum powder.
Not talcum powder, definitely.
It's just advertising his brand, Crack
Yeah.
Camel.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all stems from every now and again I wake up on a Monday morning and present some weird conspiracy stuff. And a few people would be like, "Oh, he's been on the crack again." And we just kind of made it a joke, a community joke.
My lord.
Well, Gordy was pretty open about you just seeming like a crackhead in day-to-day life.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he did throw me under the bus a bit. But yeah.
People say that about me all the time. Just like weird conspiracy theories. Like I think outside the box. You know very well by the way I look at charts. It's just like, where does he come up with this crap? So it's very cracked out, and I do the same thing in day-to-day life. I'm just thinking of things from a different perspective, and I get called a crackhead all the time. It's like, man, little did you know, he's the sober one.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me, my favorite quote is society turns to persecution of anything it doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely true. As soon as you start to think for yourself, suddenly you find a lot of people think you smoke crack.
That's true. That's very true. Guys, I've got a really good question for you all, because you're all involved with social media in one way, shape, or form. What's your perception of how social media is today?
Dangerous.
May I go first?
Please.
So what I see on Twitter and YouTube, I'm not really on Facebook, but mainly on Twitter, you have this overall arching sense of everybody and anybody on there is like craving attention, but not just craving attention for themselves, craving attention at what they're interested in. Basically, they're thinking they're holding assets, they're holding poop coins, we'll call them, and they tweet about that all the time. Like this project is undervalued, and it's just a big community of everybody shilling their own bags to try to get somebody else to pump their bags. Essentially,
all,
is kind of what
all
I've
they
seen.
all they care about is clicks, shares, and likes. And
A
views.
lot of that too. A lot of that as well. Maybe it's just the crypto stuff or the people that I have in my feed.
Oh,
But
it's
yeah,
an
it's
app
just
as well. It's an app as well.
total crap projects in crypto where I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago. There was somebody that was talking about some random shitcoin and was saying, "Man, this project is so undervalued." And I responded to him saying, "Undervalued compared to what? Like, first you need to have a value, and if you don't have a value proposition or anything that's perceived by the market, you ain't got shit." Unfortunately, but they don't see it. They just see it as, "I bought low. Somebody else, please pump my bag." And that essentially goes for gold and silver as well. Bitcoin, stock market, any particular uh, stock company. You know, that's my perception of it all. It's just a big shill game.
Yep. Go, Brett.
I just think it's dangerous, bruv. Absolutely dangerous. There's benefits to social media, don't get me wrong. But the spread of information is so vast now compared to back in the day where we could only spread it through newspapers, radios, and all that lot. And then the misinformation is just lethal in so many ways. And I actually believe that a lot of social media, it depresses people because, your life might not be great and people are putting fake stuff out there that their lives are so great, and you judge your achievements by other people, which you shouldn't do. You should solely do it on your capabilities and what you can do and push yourself. So,
Well, you're judging yourself on what other people present to you, which is of course
exactly,
top
which
shelf.
isn't even right half the time. It's lies.
Yeah.
So I just think there's so much disinformation on a big scale, political scale, and even on a low level, just individual scale. And even stuff like social media now, you can use so many what are they called?
Filters.
That's it. Thank you. Filters. You don't even know what you're looking at. You could put your dog there and make it look like a woman, gorgeous woman. Like, come on, man. It's just all fake. I don't like it. I mean, we use it. Don't get me wrong. We use it for what we're doing, and that's what I say. It can have some benefits and all that. But then there's a lot of unscrupulous people out there as well. So yeah, overall, I think it's not done our people any good. It really hasn't.
I've got a funny story about this fakeness, right? I got a funny story about this. So my sister-in-law has got two kids, and when she had the first one, and it was about somewhere around 1 year old, maybe slightly less, the Halloween came up, right? And she carved a pumpkin, sat the baby in the pumpkin, and then took a cute baby photo of it, right? And she sort of kept that aside and whatever. There's baby sat in a pumpkin. That was what it was. And then she has a second kid, and around the time it approaches 1 year old, she decides to, oh, well, I've already got a photo of the first child sat in a pumpkin. I'm going to recreate the same thing, right? So I get it from her perspective. She just wanted a nice photo of the second baby, so she got one of each. But I was round their house at the time they were trying to take this photo of the second baby, and they sat this, I don't know, 7 month to 1 year old baby, squeezed them in a pumpkin, right? Legs dangling through the front. And this baby screamed, right? Cried the entire time. Must have been 15, 20 minutes of solid crying before eventually she manages to force a smile, snap the photo, and then it peed itself in the pumpkin.
Oh, wow.
So you've got this baby that's been crying 15, 20 minutes, sat in its own pee, just so she could get a photo. And
Yeah.
on the one hand, I understand that, she had a photo of the first kid, like I said, and she just wanted a second one so that she had one of each kid. But I remember thinking in that moment, I was like, holy shit, we've sat here for 20 minutes whilst this baby has screamed and cried and peed itself in a pumpkin. And if anyone else had have not been there in that moment, all they would have seen was the photo that got uploaded to Facebook, which was this happy baby sat in a pumpkin, smiling and laughing. And they would have had no idea the hell that we went through for the 20 minutes leading up to that photo.
Yeah.
And I've always remembered that as like, yeah, that is what social media presents, right? It puts your best foot forward, and it's not reflective of reality at all in a lot of the case.
The trouble is people think it is reality.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean? I don't like it. I don't like it.
Stephen.
Oh, I just kind of agree with the other guys. Completely agree with him. I really haven't done much to add. That I really try to avoid social media as much as I can. But you know, when someone sends you a message, it's like when you got your phone on. Turn your phone on. I'll give you for instance. I'll just get my apps up on my phone. Come on. Oops. Right, there you go. I've got 2 messages on Discord. You know, you get those the little red. Oh, I've got messages. Oh, somebody likes me. Someone likes me. People seem to get carried away with all that shit.
Yeah.
Did I just see the Grinder app there, Stephen?
No, I got your app. The what was it called? Cocaine for You.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
I tell you, one thing that really concerns me about it is the effect it's having on children, and it's probably we probably had it just long enough to start to see the impacts, but it's still not quite been around long enough to truly understand how much damage it does, or the extent of the damage it probably does to kids, and how it affects their social skills. And things like cyberbullying and stuff is probably an issue somewhere in there. There's the internet is full of weirdos, right? And how do you protect your young, particularly daughters, against stuff like that? And like I said, I think it's still quite new, and we haven't fully understood the impact of it yet.
And I've just spilled iron brew all over myself.
Oh, look, spill it over your gold.
Never.
Do you think that if there was not the incentive for earning money through royalties or whatever the setups on certain social platforms, then we wouldn't be talking so much about this sort of thing?
You know, the other thing, the CPM, it's not just money, right?
Yeah.
Attention is the new commodity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, even for people that aren't getting a financial gain out of this stuff, just getting clicks and attention and a bit of fame or online clout, whatever you want to call it, right? That is the new commodity. Attention is the new commodity. And of course, then that leads to all kinds of egregious and outrageous one-upping each other and in competition with each other to constantly do something more shocking or whatever else. So yeah, it's not even just the financial incentive.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's 99% of people on social media are not earning any money out of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
But you see people going, how many followers have you got on Instagram? How many have you got on? Oh, is that all you've got? There was a thing, I can't remember what it was, and I think it was a boy turned around and says, well, I don't talk to my parents no more and all that lot. They're not worthy of me. And
I've seen that.
the interviewer turned around and said, why not? And he goes, well, they haven't got any followers. They haven't got anything. When they can get to my level, then I'll be interested. And their lives, some of these young'uns now, their lives totally revolve around how many followers they've got in whatever. They're not earning a penny out of it. It is literally just how recognised I am and all that. Or you've got a person videoing in a club and all the girls are coming around him because he's got on there that he's got 10,000 live people watching him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all based around that. It's not even to do with money.
Yeah, 100%. Weird.
Oh, it is money, but it isn't money. So you have all those people that have less followers or less financial incentive on social media are basically just donating their time to the cause of people that have 10 million subscribers or whatever. Those are the ones that are making the money. So we're donating our attention, the value of our attention there, towards those few that are that have a lot of followers, and all the finance kind of filter on through them or filter to them.
Yeah, it's become a clown world in the literal sense, right? A clown degrades themselves for other people's entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Depravity.
That's a great way of looking at it.
It is.
Yeah, so all these people that aspire to be social media influencers are really just aspiring to be clowns, right? Online clowns.
Yeah. Well, look at TikTok.
And
Half the stuff on there is such rubbish.
Yeah.
But they get the views. Do you know what I mean? You do something really stupid and dumb. Who was it? There was a black kid who went around and he'd run into people's houses and all that. He was on what's his name show?
He was on Pierce Morgan.
That's it. That's
Pierce
it.
Morgan.
Yeah, jump over a Jewish guy and all this, and it was all for views, not even caring what distress he's causing the people that he's doing these things to, and it was just for views. Absolutely horrendous.
He ran into this like woman's house and stole a dog just for views.
Yeah.
Yeah, baseball bat around his head.
Yeah, they won't do that in America, right, Kimo?
You're playing the lottery there. Depends on whose house you come into. 10 guns per capita per 100,000 or whatever. What is it? 137,000 guns per 100,000 people. So 1.3 guns per person.
Wow.
Yeah, one of our friends married an American, and he has like a gun in every room of the house. And she was really blown away by it. Like, she went round to put clothes in the wardrobe when she first moved over there, and there's just like a shotgun leaning up against the corner of the thing. She kept pulling open the drawers in the kitchen looking for cutlery, and there's like a gun in there or whatever, one on top of the fridge. It was just everywhere. And it's just so culturally different, because over here you have to have them in a safe, and the ammo has to be kept in a different safe, and the keys, have to be somewhere else. And
it's a privilege, not a right here. In America, it's a right, not a privilege.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being like that. Like, no, you're not allowed to buy those things to protect yourself. Ooh, I like that part of America. So going anywhere else and taking a risk on not being able to protect yourself when you want. I mean, what do you call the cops? The cops are going to take 10 minutes to make it there. How long does it take to commit a crime?
On our old Discord, there was a guy on from Georgia, Silverback. Still going, I think, somewhere. And he was on our Discord, and he was telling me how many guns he's got. He's got like 45 guns. He goes, what do you want? 45 guns? Different guns for different projects. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's a weird system though. In the UK, it's a really weird system, because there's like people that live in the country that have shotguns or whatever, and then the rest of them are held by criminals, untraceable. So it's not like we don't have them. It's just that like nobody is allowed to have them, really. You can get a license, and there's some weird rules for firearms licensing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can have an Uzi.
It's got to have a long barrel, doesn't it, and qualify as a rifle or something like that. Yeah,
you can have an Uzi, but you've got to justify why you need it.
Yeah. And you can have a handgun over here, Kimo. Do you know this? But you've got to tick weld an extra long barrel or silencer on the end of it to make it classified as a rifle.
My gosh. I would feel like such a basically a douchebag having something like that.
22-inch pistol, like
this is nothing like in the movies.
You can hold it sideways and you still kind of look cool.
And jamming gun, yeah.
I do not feel like a gangster with this thing.
Takes longer to pull out of your trousers as well.
Is it a lot like Canada? Because I know Canada, you're allowed to have many firearms. They're kind of cutting back on them, but you have to have it in a safe. You have to have your ammo in a separate safe or something like that.
Yeah.
And you have to register it with the authorities. Like the police department has to know exactly where your safe is, what your combination is, so they can have access to it at all times. Not only that, you're only allowed to go to the range. It can only be used for sport and not for home defense at all. And you have to drive in a direct line to the shooting gallery or whatever
there's some similar bits over here. The police have to come to your house and actually agree. The licensing officer for that side of it has to come to your house, check your safe, check the security of the house, and make sure it's all good. They don't have to have a combination or a key to the safe. That's not part of it. But even the way you travel with your gun, it must be, if it's a shotgun, it must be broken, as in, split. with no ammo in it. The ammo has to be separate. It should be kept in your boot. Like you say, you have to be driving to or from the actual shooting range. There's so many bits to it.
There's two types of licenses. We've got shotgun certificates, which are fairly easy to get so long as you
Yeah.
have a reason. Like, well, you don't even need, so a shotgun
Play
certificate.
pigeon.
A shotgun certificate, they have to have a reason not to let you have. And so as long as you're like a member of a shooting club, as long as you live in the countryside, obviously if you lived in a flat in the city, then you've got no real justifiable reason to need a shotgun. But if you live in the country, then you can have one. And again, keep it in a safe, everything else. And then the
You
other
can
one
have
we
one
do,
in the city, bro. You can have one in the city.
yeah, but you have to have sort of a reason, right? Like,
Well, you go to a shooting range. I shoot every Sunday down the shooting range.
yeah.
Play pigeon shooting every Sunday.
But even then, you can only have a double barrel, right? It's only up
Yeah.
to 3 maximum, I think,
That's right.
is the most you can have. And then we also have a firearm certificate where you can hold other things as well, like rifles, shotguns that carry up to 8 shells, the pistols with the longer barrels or whatever. But those are much, much, much harder to get. You have to have a real genuine reason to actually be able to own one of those.
So many hoops.
Lots of
So what happens if somebody uses one for self-defense? If somebody breaks into your home?
Oh, you're going jail 25
You're
years.
done. You're done.
But that guy in Norfolk got away with it, didn't he? You remember that guy in Norfolk shot an intruder with a shotgun? Remember? And he went to court and he imprisoned him, and they let him go because it was an outcry.
Did they really? Wow.
That was an outcry about it.
I do remember that one, bro. But
Yeah.
in general, it's not that easy. He was out in the country somewhere writing the sticks, weren't he?
Yeah.
And they said no one could have got to him quick enough, the police wise and all that lot. And it was pure self-defense. But in general, you cannot use a gun for self-defense.
No, you're going to jail.
Wow.
Don't we have a rule that says like it's like 1 or 5 years per bullet you've got on you as well? Is that right?
I don't know. Don't know about that.
I think it's
I'm
something
not
like
sure.
that.
Maybe.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's like a year a bullet.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want a gun. I wouldn't want a firearm.
Camel, you know a lot about firearms, mate, which sort of backs up this crack thing.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say
it. It really does. Like you're just dropping yourself in it all the time, dude. Really.
You're insinuating.
He's a Pablo Escobar of Cornwall.
Sounds like it, didn't he?
For all you know, I'm ex-military or ex-armed forces or whatever.
That's very true.
Yeah, but you're not though, are you, bro?
No, I'm not. You're right. I'm not.
That's a good cover story, but he could be. He could be. Could be secret SAS.
Is anybody ex-military in here?
Special ed, more like.
Special needs. I'm not military, no.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
What? Why? I don't. No, but I don't mean Cobra's military. Are you, Cobra?
No, I went to an all-boys military school and we were linked to 2-para, but I didn't go full into the forces or anything like that, no.
I don't think Cam was.
Me? No, I'm not, no.
Cam was from something like Breaking Bad.
Pinky Blinders.
Yeah, that's true. Chemist, he's all about it. All about it. And I don't know about Cam. I have no idea.
You're not going to ask me.
Cam's the only one that's free. He lives in America.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Stephen, go on. Go on. You brought it up. So obviously you're a sergeant major from somewhere.
No. I'm not going to comment. That's all I'll say.
You're not going to comment?
But he collects knives and swords. That's suspect.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
That's suspect as well.
What
do you need all them knives for, Cobra?
No, well, it's a secret.
Me and Cobra work for Camel.
Yeah. No, I always have collected weapons. Even back in the day when Shuriken and Balisung, the butterfly knife, was legal, I used to have them. So yeah, I love my weapons.
So what's the rules on those, on swords and things like that, guys?
Swords are absolutely fine. They can't be sharpened, but you can keep them, no problem at all. Right. You can't have original samurai swords. You can't have colorized knives, which is just because the gangs got so into it in the way of, showing off with that type of thing. And and you can't have shuriken and balisong. But yeah, you can have knives, you can have swords, no problem.
You
Just can't carry them, right?
can.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, the only ones who can are the Sikhs.
Yeah.
The Kirpan, but it should be under the clothing. And if they pull it out for any reason, they're in a world of pain. But it's just the trust that was put into the Sikhs because they were in the military here. It's part of their religion. And there was a trust that was built up with that.
You can carry a knife.
3 inches or less, though, right? And no locking.
2.5 inches.
Right.
Yeah.
It can't be a locking blade, and it can't be like a butterfly or a flick knife, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't sharpen your swords.
No, the swords are. The way you say
Welcome
that.
to Britain, Chemo.
Yeah, no, you can't have a sharpened-
You guys are basically 2 steps away from not being able to cook your own dinner.
No, so basically they're for collection purposes. You can have antique knives and stuff like that, or swords even, but you can't sharpen them and have them blade ready. So yeah, it's yeah.
The sword I've got is a proper sword.
Yeah.
But when I bought it, can't have it sharpened, so it's not sharpened.
Yeah.
But I could go and sharpen it, no one would find out.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not putting it out in the street and doing anything stupid with it, who's going to know?
No, nobody.
Exactly.
Except for everyone that watches the podcast.
Yeah.
Bringing that back full circle to those immigrants that were coming in. Wasn't there some machetes in the street type thing going on somewhere over there?
That's nothing to do with the immigrants. That's the gangs over here.
Yeah, the gangs in London and the cities, right?
That's the gangs. That's British-born people who are in these drug gangs.
Wow.
And they have
great machete in the street.
Yeah, they have running battles in the street. So I used to have a shop, a security shop, and in that shop I sold weapons like that, machetes, blades, swords, all that sort of stuff. And I used to get the gangs coming in all the time to buy swords and all that. And I'd go, what do you want it for? Oh, fishing and all that lot. I said, you need a fishing knife then, nothing like this. No, but I just like, no, I'm not interested. And I put in so much stuff to stop serving them, so they had to produce a license and passport, letter from their home address, etc., etc., etc. And I wouldn't let them buy them because I was not having my head on that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what they wanted, machetes and stuff like that all the time. They wear 2 sets of trousers, so they'll have jogging pants and then another set on top, so that they can keep the blades between the 2, so they're protected. So if ever you find any sort of youth wearing 2 pairs of trousers type of thing, that's what it's for, to carry blades. So yeah, I know exactly how they work, and that's nothing to do with illegal immigrants or immigrants. That is to do with the gangs.
Cobra will know. Camel will know about the drugs gang in this country.
Willie?
Yeah, well, you're like Pablo Escobar in Britain. He's a kingpin.
Wow.
That's what happens when you get rid of the guns. You get rid of the guns, it just goes straight to knife fights.
Yeah, knives are a lot more personal too.
Yeah.
There's a lot more knife crime over here than there is gun crime.
Yeah, but we got a gun crime too.
Yeah. I'm just saying there's a lot more knife crime.
Yeah. You can have a crossbow if you want, and a bow.
Haven't they just made that so they need a certificate or license or registration or something?
I think not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay.
No,
maybe
you can have a crossbow.
Maybe a cross pistol. I don't know about that one.
Okay.
No, I was selling crossbows, but there's only a certain pound per inch pressure you can use on them. If it's over a certain amount, you can't have them. But they were still powerful enough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Go through your head.
And they're silent.
Yeah.
I've just come to the conclusion I've had a really boring life. I've just been a plumbing and heating engineer since I was 16.
I'm sure you saw many dangerous situations with plumbing.
Never.
Boilers exploding and boiling hot water.
Gas
and
leaks.
No? Gas leaks.
To be fair, yeah, I have, yeah, but it doesn't sound half as interesting as selling
machetes to gangsters.
Machetes to gangsters.
I didn't
cooking up drugs, killing people that come into your house. and secrets about the military. You know, I've got a really boring life.
Hey, be happy, bro. Trust me.
Yeah, I am.
Be happy.
Does it look like
You
I'm
know?
happy?
Yeah, excitedly.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm pretty chilled, pretty laid back.
Yeah.
So, wow. Come on, you're putting the pressure on me to bloody come up with. I'm supposed to have had a break from this. Let's talk about. Let's get back in because I know a lot of people like talking about bloody finance and whatever.
Women.
No, I don't want to talk about
Women
women.
in finance.
It's bad enough of women my age.
Expensive.
Yeah.
All right, I got something.
Yeah, but if
Go
we're
on,
going to
go
talk
on.
about finance, guys, like
Yeah,
you
Kim
can't
O's got
just
some.
get money. You got to get money and fuck the bitches, right?
Ooh. Definitely a bit of gangster talk there.
It's not okay to just get the money. You need both.
Yeah, but why do we have to spend it on them?
Wow.
Because it makes them feel good, Cobra.
Yeah, but that don't make me feel good.
Is
Wow.
Mrs. Cobra watching this video?
No, she ain't.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
Can you just repeat what you just said, Campbell?
No, I can't. I've
You
forgotten.
can
Sorry,
blackmail
bro.
in CPM. You can blackmail him.
What did Campbell just say? It's not about.
It's not okay to just get money. You
And
also got to fuck bitches.
You've also got to fuck bitches.
Yeah, get money, fuck bitches. You need both.
That doesn't sound
That's
like.
very misogynistic, bruv. Very misogynistic.
Sorry,
You're
toxic
living in a
masculinity is coming out.
patriarchal world, and it's very misogynistic. You need to stop that kind of chit chat. That's what happens when you blokes get together. You talk shit about
I
women.
do apologise. We've just lost any females that were watching this podcast ever.
The only female we had involved with this was Stephen.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, right. It's like that is it. Right, that is it. Right, tell Mrs. Cobra next time she's on.
Brilliant. Cam, you was going to say something. You was going to bring something up.
Well, once you're into the drugs, it's only a matter of time before your pimp hand comes out swinging. You got to do that. You got to lay the pimp hand down.
Love it. Absolutely.
So
Oh, man.
You've got a lot of editing to do.
No, I can assure you, I'm not editing anything.
Good.
Absolutely nothing.
So let me tie all this together. What we've been talking about today, though,
Cool.
Not just the crack and stuff, but getting it into finance. We've been talking about our social media and basically the digital prison that we're kind of in, and gets into finance. Protecting our finance and whatnot, and the future that we're kind of looking at. Things going very digital brings us to the conundrum of owning your own assets, not having counterparty risk, along with the system that's being set up, which is potentially a digital ID that would make it so it's very difficult to access the internet or, say, your bank account or your crypto, even though you have potentially millions of dollars sitting there in your bank account or in a cryptocurrency wallet that you won't have access to, which is where gold and silver comes to mind right there. You don't have that digital counterparty risk where you don't need access to the internet. You just go under your bed or go under your mattress and grab your bar of gold and you have some wealth there. So then what does that mean moving forward, having a potential digital ID in order to potentially access the financial system?
I'd go live off grid. I'd go live in a tent.
The problem is if everything went through digital ID, it's all well and good having that gold, but how are you going to sell it to get the digital ID to spend that money, or how are you going to get that money to spend it with the normal society? You can't go in and buy stuff with gold, so you'd have to use the digital. Hey,
I was saying, I know how you could sell it.
Go on.
You could sell it to some dodgy drug dealer who'll give you some money for it.
Yeah, but he'll be all digital now, bruv. Even the drug dealers will have to be digital.
Well, we're getting to get some stuff for it, like food and stuff like that.
Oh, so you're just going to sell it for cocaine? Right.
Yeah, well, no, for food and that. Yeah, he's good at drug dealing. He can launder that gold and silver.
No, but on a serious
Well,
note,
maybe.
even having that gold and all that, to sell it to get money to buy your stuff in a digital world, you're going to have to do it all digitally. Someone's going to have to pay you digitally. It's going to go into your bank. It's all there anyway. So having gold as an asset yourself, if it's all digital, it's still going to pull you back into the system when you sell it.
All right, I got a question for each one of you. Let's say your whether it's your stock portfolio, your cryptocurrency, a mixture of all of these things, right? Let's say you're faced with a significant amount of money to you, right, to your respective circumstances. If the choice is you can have the money, but you got to get a barcode tattooed on you, right, like a QR code, be part of whatever this new CBDC system is, or you get to walk away, but obviously not get the money. Which do you choose?
Yeah, well, you know the answer.
Well, I do for you, I think.
Look, the thing is, at the end of the day, you walk away and you don't have the money. What have you got then? You got nothing, right? You can't survive. You can't do nothing. Yeah, you're done, right? So you have no choice. If you have no choice, that's your only two choices. Walk away and be skint, or get this barcode so that you can be identified every time you spend your pennies, right? You're going to have to do it. If that is the way, that's your only two choices. That's what you're going to have to do, isn't it?
But is that the start to them forcing you to, I don't know, have medical procedures if you, or else you lose your money, or censor your speech, or else you lose your money? Do you really get to hold it?
They're doing all that without even having that. Do you know what I mean? They're censoring our speech already. Do you know what I mean? They're forcing us to take injections during COVID. You know what I mean? So you don't need to do that to rule the people. Once you put the rules in, they've got to follow it one way or another. Do you know what I mean? If you during COVID, if you didn't have the injections up to date, you couldn't travel. You know what I mean? You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. So
yeah, but some people chose not to travel. Some people chose.
Yeah. I get it, but you're saying have your money or don't have your money. Well, that's your choice. If you don't have your money, you're screwed anyway. And if you do have your money and you have to be part of the system, you have to be part of the system. But the point is, if they try and incorporate something like that, will people accept it or will they riot? That's the point.
And that's kind of what it boils down to is that's the last stand right there is rioting and be like, no, we're not putting up with this. But the circumstances that I kind of foresee with regards to hardship, you kind of think people are going to be begging for such a system to come in to boost economic growth and whatnot. And if you really think about what was said about from the World Economic Forum, you will own nothing and be happy.
And be happy, yeah.
Well, think about the word happy. If you look at the definition of happy, it can mean happy, content, but there's also another definition for it that means willing. Like, I'd be happy to do that for you. Yeah. So you're a willing participant. So you will own nothing and you will be willing to own nothing. And in the circumstance, it's going to be seen as, for the greater good, you have to do this. And the population will be like, well, I'm willing to do that for the greater good.
Well, that's communism.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So then which one do you choose? I kind of foreseen this, and the choice is obvious. I don't want the tattoo, don't want the digital system.
Mark of the beast.
If you go to watch a podcast done by George Gammon, he went in South America, I think from Colombia to Argentina, and Argentina had their hyperinflation crisis, and the banking system is all but shut down over there. You're allowed to withdraw the equivalent of about $40 US over there per day. So people line up at the bank to try to get as much money out of the bank as possible. And that's supposed to curb the inflation because you don't have money spending as much. And while he was over there, he tried to survive on gold, silver, and Bitcoin to try to be outside the system. And he couldn't sell the gold at all without a significant haircut. It was like a 50% haircut on his gold because nobody had the money to buy it, essentially. And they also didn't have anybody to sell it to. So there's a liquidity problem there because your financial system is shut down. Same thing goes for Bitcoin. Nobody really wanted the Bitcoin. They did want US dollar tether. I guess there's a more liquid market for that. And the silver did okay. The silver did the best out of anything because it was in small enough increments where somebody could actually buy it and sell it, still with a significant haircut of like 20%. So that's like transacting out of the system. So how long can you last with your stack if you are going to try to live like that? You can only go so long before it's like, well, I ran out of resources and I didn't prepare myself, so I don't have any food. So it's live off grid and commit to it and have yourself prepared, or plan to be running out of resources and join the digital system.
For me, the QR code is a no-go.
No.
And
Mark
there's
of the
a,
beast.
there's a religious component to that, but there's also outside of that. I just think even if I got the QR code, and let's assume there is no God and there's no religious component to it whatsoever, it just feels like they would most probably be like, well, now we want you to do this, Camel. Now you're not allowed to say about this anymore. Now you're not allowed to say that. And at which point it's like, do I really want the money if I can't think for myself or choose my own sovereign
Choose
rights
my
over
own,
my own body or whatever else? So I kind of feel
my,
like
my
I
own
would almost
brand
just
of
want to
crack.
walk away from it. Say again?
My own brand of crack. You're not
Yeah.
going to tell me which crack is mine.
So I'd like to think, I mean, you never know. It's easy to say now, right? But when you're faced with a decision, maybe you make a different decision. But I'd like to think I would not. I would choose to try and make it
Well,
alone rather than
that's the
have it.
thing. Like, we make our plans, and whoever is running this show, this theater, they're making their plans as well. They've been planning a lot longer than we have, and they have the resources to hire thinkers that'll think this stuff through over and over and find every possible outcome where it's like, okay, I've got this for the crypto people. This is going to suck them in somehow, some way. Same thing with the gold and silver guys. We have this that's going to, everybody gets corralled into the same entrance to be like, eventually, after a generation or so, everybody's in there. And that's playing the long game. But yeah, no QR code. Screw that.
No QR code for me. That's the mark of the beast.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Stephen.
I mean, you can go on. You don't really need gold, silver, crypto if you go and live in a community that helps each other. They have their own animals and they grow their own crops.
Then you have to build your own financial system, essentially, your own internal economy, and that would work.
Gold and silver.
Yeah. But then you have to find people that are willing to take it. Like-minded people that are like, okay,
well, that's part of what's been in the community would be. We're not going to use, or you could trade food or ammunition.
Yeah, but that's going back to bartering. You're going to have a black market. You're going to have a divided society, and you're going to have a black market. That's how it'll happen. You'll get people who will agree to be in society with a barcode and all the little systems that are brought in, and you'll have people who disagree. You'll have a black market, and you'll have an underworld society.
I love it when Cobra
gets passionate. I love it when Cobra gets really passionate.
I said a sentence. Camel knows passion, man. That wasn't passionate. That was just, a comment.
This is 1 out of 10 right now.
Yeah, that's just a comment, man. That wasn't passionate. Wait for that, you'll get it.
Em, can I ask you a question?
He's on mute.
I was on mute. Yeah.
Kim, you said something quite interesting there about generations. How the concept is, it seems, the concept of what everyone's talking about seems like very Hunger Gamey, but obviously when you really expand your mind, you can probably see the output of this happening. Maybe. But you said something interesting about generations. Now, how for that to be effective, possibly, because that's quite draconial, and you've still got a lot of people that are living in a very different sort of outlook type world. How many generations do you reckon that could take to actually smoke and mirror that sort of operation in?
Half a generation.
Half.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I don't think it would take more than 10, 15 years to be totally encapsulated in it. So we go back to the charts. I mean, the charts tell the truth.
Yeah.
And look at the past 100-year performance on the S&P 500 stock market of the USA. They had a very, very large run up in the 1920s, the roaring 20s, and it was crazy. Then the subsequent crash and money printing that came thereafter was essentially put in place to reshape the direction of the United States into what they wanted it to be for the next 50 years or so. Then you have the Nixon took gold, or took the US dollar off the gold ratio, and then you had another system that kind of went very fiat, and it's like, okay, so we can do whatever we want. And then look more recently at the 2008 financial collapse. So the internet was kind of getting a buzz in the late 90s, early 2000s, but it wasn't like an everyday thing. People did not really go on social media. It was for sending emails. Ooh, I got a website. That means I'm legitimate. But it was not really widespread. But then after the financial collapse, what emerged out of that was social media, Facebook, Google, all at your fingertips, push for the digital age or whatever, the internet age. So if they want to implement something new, you go through hardships first to destroy your spirit, similar to the way they do in the military. If they want you to be a good servant, they destroy your spirit and they rebuild you the way they want you. So you would see the same thing happening, potentially coming soon. If they want this system, they'll crash it all, rebuild us in their image, if you will, and let it go. So it could take 10 years or less, in my opinion. I mean, the changes just on social media in the past 10 years are crazy.
Okay. I sort of get that. That sort of makes a lot of sense, but I'm trying to understand that your people's comprehension of what that pain would amount to, because that sounds very severe to me, extremely severe, and I'm not sure how. I don't know. Maybe this is like wishful thinking, but I kind of think that there'd be enough grown-ups to realize that, whoa, to fight back against it. But or is that a case like, Cobra's pointed out quite a bit in Two Swigs and a Cig, and Camel too, or is that breakdown of that masculinity so severe now where it makes that easy to go through that pain barrier because there's no resistance? Is that why you'd say like it would only be half a generation? I don't want to believe it, but I kind of get
I
it.
didn't even think of that aspect of it, where you have the emasculization of civilization, basically,
Yeah.
where men are becoming very soft, and that makes so you don't have your home defenses. I didn't even think of that aspect. I was just basically basing it on a chart perspective, what the charts look like they're going to do, and what emerges out of these crashes, if you will.
Yeah.
It changes the direction of it. And it's usually to fit a narrative or to fit the direction of whoever's the hidden hand that is controlling it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly does make it easier if you soften your protectors, the father figures. They're all emasculated, and yeah, you can just swipe right in and, well, this is the way it is now. What are you going to do about it? Well, you take away our guns, and you make those like people don't want to have guns or whatever. Be a lot easier. It would be like for the UK, Australia, even Canada, it becomes a lot easier to do.
Sure.
The United States is certainly a more difficult one, but I'm sure there's somebody trying to push for gun control and gun confiscation. I mean, it's all registered. So anybody that does have a gun legally, there's a registry that they know exactly what you have and where you have it. So they track it pretty well. So if they wanted to take that stuff, you'd see that happening. And then they just implement whatever they want. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. because the United States, the Americans will just step up and be like, "Well, I got guns too."
Yeah.
So live free or die hard, potentially.
It's an interesting concept because that of to me just really seriously thinking about it, you know, for half a generation, you know, as you said, 15 years, 20 years, that's a very crazy quick push, which would really say to me that the general populace is very much an easy run over to push that sort of thing. Maybe I'm naive, but I just can't think that there
Well,
wouldn't
they're
be
an
any
easy
resistance with
target.
it.
There's an easy target there. We were talking about the shooting of Trump and whatnot, and how that just got swept under the rug. And just
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
any large news thing just gets swept away right away, real quick. And
Yeah.
people aren't thinking anymore. So it makes for easy targets, I guess.
Yeah.
When you have your people that aren't thinking, if nobody's thinking, and
Yeah.
somebody with sound mind is going to take over.
Yeah. Do you think that this is open to everybody along those lines? Do you think that it can be swept under the blanket as so it's done more stealthily in that time period rather
Oh
than
no, the
sort of in
quicker
your
it
face?
happens,
Sorry?
yeah, it would have to be really in your face. If it happens very quickly.
Yeah.
But basically, the way I look at it, it's basically a trade setup. There is an invalidation to that, and what comes out on the other side could be the total opposite of the direction we're heading. It could be just you're reaching a peak in civil unrest or whatever, and what comes out of it on the other side is an awakening of people where basically Neil Howe talks about this in The Fourth Turning, how what comes out of that is a good thing. So we can hope for that, but if you just hope for it and don't act on it, who's to say it's going to go your way? Be
Interesting.
prepared.
Guys, you got any thoughts on that?
I take that as a no.
Camel's floated on the ceiling.
So are you.
I'm all right. I'm chilling.
I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, all right.
It's really interesting, isn't it? The concept of it all, because it does really make you think deep about could that be just 15 years that we can see such a radical change in the way we do stuff, and possibly I sometimes think out of fear we don't want to face it, so we become naive to it, and possibly we just think, nah, it won't happen. Nah, it won't happen on my watch. It's not going to happen. But really,
Or we just want to be praised for our good behavior.
yeah,
What comes to mind there is the COVID shots and how you had a campaign online sticker that said, "I got my COVID vaccine," waiting for people to give you praises for, "Oh, good job, you're saving everybody's lives, and the old people aren't going to die because you got stabbed by the medical community." But people wanted that reward of, "Ooh, give me a thumbs up." So if we kind of push that forward into we need this for the greater good of everybody. The economy or the GDP isn't having the growth that we're expecting. We have a big economic slowdown. So in order for us to maintain our quality of life, you're going to need to sacrifice certain liberties or freedoms.
Guys, can I put something to you, right? I agree there's a lot going on. I agree that, there's a lot of social unrest. I agree governments or elites and all that lot are doing what they want to do and all that lot. Do we sometimes then inflate the problem in our minds or say, yeah, this is all going to go to pot within 10 years, 15 years, like we know anything at all? As I say, don't get me wrong. I'm with you. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just putting something to you. AI is going to change things, CBDCs, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But do we sometimes have these discussions and
Manifest.
overinflate the problem?
Yeah, I was
Are
I
we?
was just thinking a similar thing, Cobra. I'm sure you and CPM have heard me say this before, that when stuff like this happens and when we start to think about things like this, we tend to have a way of like always looking at the most extreme
Yeah,
circumstances.
yeah,
And even of the pandemic era, right? There was a lot of, it was pretty easy to be like, that's it, that's the end of the world. There's a pandemic, 65% of the population is going to be dead within a year or whatever else. And we tend to end up somewhere in the middle, right? There's always some people that say, it's nothing to be over in 2 weeks. And then there's people on the other end of the spectrum that are like, like I said, 65% of the planet's going to be dead in 12 months. And we always kind of end up somewhere between the two. And I do wonder if that is possibly, I mean, I certainly agree with what Kimo is saying
yeah.
to a large degree. Like it could be that bad. It definitely could. And
No, I mean, just like little things like, say, for instance, the riots we had over here, yeah, and
yeah,
they were horrendous and they were terrible. Wherever it happened, it was bad. And I'll be honest, when I was watching it, because that weekend, and CPM knows this, I watched a lot of it, and it reminded me so much of the 80s, with the skinheads and all that lot, the sort of things that were being shouted out in the riots and all that lot. And I thought, Jesus, are we going down that same line again? Where there's so much racism and hate that people are going to be attacked, and I'm sure some of it will happen. People will be attacked on the streets and all that lot. And it really took me back, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And then if you look a week later now, it seems to have, at the moment, and I'm not saying it won't fire up again, calm down, where everyone's just getting on with their lives again. So sometimes I think maybe we worry too much, or really make it the worst case scenario of what it can be. And even with CBDCs, for instance, we talk about, they'll control the money. They can put this into place where it only lasts a month or two months. And if you haven't spent it, you lose it and all that. Yes, they probably could do all of this because it's computerized, but will they? So what I mean is, do we overinflate it to the worst case scenario?
yeah, I think we do often. And I think you're right. Like I said, often there's people on both extremes and we end up somewhere in the middle. And I like to be cautiously optimistic. I often say this as well, because, if the world's going to end and we're all going to die, then what's the fucking point in any of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I like to think that it's probably not going to be as bad as it is, but I don't think there's any harm in occasionally considering the absolute worst case scenario.
No, I agree. Another thing, I'm not saying anything against what we talk about all the time. I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just putting another perspective to it.
No, I absolutely agree. I do think there's definitely merit in what Kimo's saying. Like if we were to say what's the worst that could happen, then that's absolutely true. But again, I kind of hope, perhaps naively and perhaps just cautiously optimistically, we end up somewhere in the middle, and maybe it's not too bad, right? Like maybe we
Are you
can
saying my
actually.
trade setup is not going to reach target?
Well, as you know, Kimo, like 50-60% of them fail, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Right
So
there
yeah,
with you. But so are we talking doom and gloom, and is this making a manifestation of our future?
Yeah.
Or is anticipating the worst case scenario leading to preparations so that we stave a portion of that off and then we don't reach target?
there's definitely.
Hmm.
I've long been a believer that if you're aware of this stuff now, if you're thinking about this stuff now, if you're taking steps ahead of time, then you've already got a massive head start on everyone else. And that head start could really make a huge difference, right? Even if you just got a small amount of food stocked up, even if you just got some money outside the system, even if what me and Cobra and CPM were talking about at the last podcast about, if there's a blackout, at least already have a conversation with your family ahead of time so they know what to do and know what to expect or know where to go. Something like that, right? That gives you a massive head start on the rest of the population. So it's definitely worth thinking about. It's definitely worth having something in place. But yeah, again, like,
The
is
main
it going to be as extreme as
preparation,
what's
the
that?
main preparation there is your mentality.
Yeah.
And that's like all that stuff that I wrote and posted on my Twitter page, Twitter profile. All that stuff is just to mentally prepare people for what's potentially coming in the charts. Not necessarily that it's going to happen, but the charts certainly are setting up for a trade setup that says this could get this bad. This is where it's heading. You need to at least be mentally prepared for this because, like we were talking at the beginning of the podcast here, the power outage over here, people were just like, I'm screwed. I don't have my tablet. I can't charge my phone. What do I do? Do you have an extra generator? Hey, and me, I'm cool as a cucumber. You're like, we'll just set a fire, cook some eggs and bacon. Hey, living the life. I got a day off here. Just nothing really works. Hey, just chill. Nobody's
Yeah.
calling other than needing a generator. I was like, it's a power outage. There's no big deal because I'm mentally prepared for, hey, stuff didn't go exactly the way I planned. I have a method.
Something else that is really of note here is if you're not a chart guy, then you probably just hear this stuff and think, oh, who cares about your charts? But if you are a chart guy, those charts are very, very ominous, right, Chemo? Like they have very ominous implications. And
Yeah.
And if you are a chart guy and you look at that stuff, you go, oh man, like that's not nothing. So it is definitely worth having something in place.
Yeah, it's like I always say, it's a trade setup. A trade setup can fail, and we could be totally wrong, and things go great from here. Or the trade setup plays out, and things go pretty south pretty quick. Like we're talking about these charts, it's setting up for something bad. It doesn't mean it has to be bad. But
yeah, it doesn't mean it has to be, but it also means it could, right?
Yeah, probability is leaning towards, because I'm like, for a 1929 style crash, we have these patterns that say, hey, something like that is coming. It's a 65% probability.
Yeah.
It's just a little more probable that it happens. It's not 100%.
Yeah, but then another way to look at that is if I said to you, hey, CPM, do you want to bet £1 and you got a 65 probability of being right on this next coin flip? Would you take it?
Yeah.
Probably would, right?
Yeah,
65%?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen, what do you reckon? Been quiet.
Sorry, about what?
See, we can't see Steven's face, but he's probably just as relaxed as CPM is at this point, maybe even more.
I was actually nodding off. I must admit, I was nodding off.
Love it. Do you know the funny thing is there were parts of the conversation earlier on where I just phased out. And so if I had been asked that sort of question, what do you think? I would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm back in the room, so I'm all right.
What do you think, Cobra?
Look, I think, as I said, sometimes we over-exaggerate in our minds. And also, we're also playing out a certain rhetoric here. So I'll tell you why I say this, right? Let's say with the whole thing about Muslims, that's all we hear about, right? Either whether it be immigration or a war here or a war there, it's Islam, it's Muslim. Or this same rhetoric has been going on because the Western world and the Eastern world or the Middle Eastern world have been at conflict for so long in one way or another. I'm not talking just physical wars, but there's always been a conflict between the two. So on our side of it, in the Western world, we always hear Muslim, bad, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of for the general public, not in my case, because yes, I believe there's good and bad in everyone, and a small percentage of Muslims are bad, and a small percentage of the Western world is bad in their ways. I think in the same way we talk about this same sort of thing when it comes to finance and all that lot, and I think we feed it even to the people and ourselves in such a way. So, you know, you see many creators, I'm not just talking about the charts, talking about CBDCs and it's going to be like this and it's bad. You know, where maybe not all of it is going to be bad and it's just a new system that's being brought in because we are more digital. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of problems in the world. There's a lot of problems in Western societies at the moment. And there's a lot of indoctrination like we've talked before. But I think that sometimes, even with us in our conversations, we're feeding a rhetoric out there and telling everyone that this is what's going to happen. It's going to be bad, you know, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 5 years, these sort of things. But realistically, none of us really know the absolute truth. And so it's just chat that we're having. But the same way we know we're just having that chat and we're talking about the possibilities, which is absolutely fine. Other people out there will listen to it and go, oh my God, this is going to happen. And they start spreading that word as well. So are we pushing something ourselves that we didn't even realize we were doing?
Pushing like an adversary. Like this is
pushing
probably
sort of
deep in the human psyche. I think we crave some sort of adversary, something that we have to overcome constantly, and that's like a motivating factor in our livelihood potentially. And I think the powers that be or the governments are like they take advantage of that and they feed us an enemy where there really wasn't an enemy.
Yeah,
Thinking back to the 1980s, the Cold War with Russia and the
yeah,
United States, and it's like nothing was really going on, and the people of these countries didn't hate each other. There was just a lot of talk and rhetoric that says, "Well, Russia's our enemy, China's our enemy."
yeah,
Nowadays in the UK, well, the Muslims are our enemy here. It's like, no, they're not. You're being told they are. That doesn't mean that's
yeah,
true. Wake up, people. So,
yeah,
yeah, I see what you're saying there. It's made out to be way worse, and they kind of push the propaganda, and they let social media just run with it. See how far it'll go.
absolutely. And then in the same way, so that's what I'm talking about. We've seen that happen with the governments, with social media and all that lot, feeding that information out there, and we all buy it and go, yeah, Muslims, 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 it's them causing the problem. Islam is bad and all the rest. But then the same way in the finance world, even what we talk about here is we're pushing out a message out there, which is things are going to go bad, south, bad, 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 bad. Systems are going to change and all that, and it may happen. I'm not saying it won't. Um, and we talk about it all the time, but we talk about it between ourselves in a way of, well, think about that, or what could happen with that, and all that. But people out there may be looking at it in a different way and going, shit, these guys know what they're talking about, and this is what is going to happen. Do you
Speaking as a
understand what I'm trying
chart
to say?
guy, I know nothing. Speaking as a chart guy,
Exactly. What do we really know?
yeah,
Do you get my
we
point?
don't
Do you
have,
see where I'm coming
don't
from?
even have, you don't even have confirmation yet of the trade setup.
Yeah.
Essentially, the markets, my expectation would be a crash. We haven't even started a downtrend yet, so you don't even have confirmation of this even starting. The patterns are kind of completing, and potentially it turns around and gives you the trade setup that says this is going to go bad. But we haven't even, we're not even taking steps towards going bad yet. We're just postulating, hey, this could be, and
Mm.
maybe falsely so. We don't know, like you're saying, we don't know. Uh, there's another idea that I had where they just inflate or debase the currency for the next 12 years or so. There's a chart pattern that I can see that happening, but at
But
the
the
end
point
of
is,
it,
you're
there's a
coming from a place of knowledge, and you do have the knowledge to see the potential. What I'm talking about is what, but the people out there who listen to us will be thinking when they're going, well, this guy knows a bit, and so I believe everything he's saying, when we
yeah,
don't know for
that's
sure. And that's
contagious.
where I'm saying there could be a problem.
There's danger following cartoon characters on the internet like Camel and myself. I mean, we're just
Yeah.
cartoon characters.
Oh, me and CPM as well. It's not just you two, you know what I mean? We say things. I was just
But
thinking
yeah,
about it in that way, that
No,
we say
you
things and we could be wrong.
you make a good point. Like we speak in what we see as a balance of probabilities.
Yeah,
That's how we're speaking. So yeah, we're not speaking in absolutes. We're giving our
yeah.
opinion based on our experience on how we see a probabilistic outcome potentially playing out.
But
So yeah,
people out
that
there
applies.
may take it that
That,
we're talking in absolutes.
yeah.
yeah, that applies to our situations exclusively. Like my situation is not the same as anybody in this podcast. So anybody listening, this doesn't necessarily pertain to your situation. Your
Yeah,
situation could be totally different, and you would play that trade setup differently, as we all would. I don't know, but I think the collective mind kind of, we spoke about community potentially being helpful in a an economic downturn slash totalitarian society. So preemptively speaking, it's fairly easy to go out there and shake a few hands, make a few friends. It's not going to hurt. Storing some of your wealth where you feel it's safe wouldn't hurt. Getting some food, you know, preparing for situations that could happen, situations that wouldn't be even as bad as we're expecting. Um, these are all good things to have. Community.
Yeah, I always think if you stock up on a bit of food, worst comes to the worst, you just eat it or give it to charity, right? If you don't need it, happy days.
Charity begins
Yeah,
with home.
I've eaten some of my stockpile last year and this year. I kind of have to recycle through it.
Yeah, I take some of it. I take some of it fishing. Me and my brother eat it. We're also fishing.
What was that,
You eat
Stephen?
maggots? You eat maggots?
No, like tinned hot dogs and stuff like that.
Wow, what fish do you go fishing for? Carp?
sea fishing.
You give sea fish hot dogs.
No,
You plonker. There's a thing called bait, Steve.
I know I am a fisherman myself, but I don't give them hot dogs.
funny enough, hot dogs work for carp. I guarantee you'll catch carp on hot dogs.
Tiger nuts, what I used to fish with.
Tiger nuts, yeah. I've caught them on pepperami, blocks of cheese, bread.
It's fed better than I
Have
do.
you,
Where'd you get all these
have you
money
guys
from to buy all this expensive food for your fish? I wonder.
From the
have you guys
market.
tried have you guys tried bacon grease to catch fish?
I haven't, no. Is that a recommendation?
Yeah, there's a fish guy that I met around here. He's like, oh, I just slather everything in bacon grease. All those like plastic lures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just like put some bacon grease on it. Fish go crazy for it. So give it a try next time you're out.
Oh, I will do. I will do.
So, so when you go sea fishing, do you do it from the beach or coast,
Yeah.
or do you go out in a boat?
Either it'll be one of three places really. Either the beach, a rock mark, or on a boat.
Interesting. So you go fishing near Smuggler's Cove in a boat, or in a rocky cove, and the cover is I'm going fishing.
Carol, everyone's got you so sus, Carol.
They think they do, but they don't. They don't. They got nothing.
Cool beans. Well, that's amazing. Let's try and keep it positive.
You ain't done very well with that so far, bruv.
No.
Nah, you bring me into it. I'm pretty doomed.
There's been highs
I'll
and
ruin the
lows.
night out at the
Okay, let's end the podcast on a bit more of a positive note. You chart guys, and well, everyone's opinion really. A lot of people that follow these podcasts, well, this podcast, and you guys will all be into their precious metals and obviously Bitcoin, maybe stocks and shares and bits and pieces. What's a good way forward? You can, whoever wants to answer it can answer it. That's fine. Stephen, if you haven't said much, it might keep you awake a little bit.
What's the way forward for me? Gold.
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
Gold.
What do you see?
Gold.
What are you doing, but dude? What's a good way
Gold.
forward to protect our wealth and for all
Gold.
sorts of times?
I don't believe in paper. I'm really very wary of Bitcoin because I don't really understand it. It's new technology and I'm old, so I don't really care. So just gold. I'm buying gold. What on earth is this French nonsense?
What?
What on earth is? Sorry, I'm watching the closing ceremony.
Funny enough, I've got a text message from a friend that's sending me pictures of the ceremony, and apparently it's quite dark.
Oh God!
That's a bit.
They start dark, they end dark.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Just got these random people running about in golden feathered uniforms and oh man, just French nonsense.
Do you guys not get along with the French over there?
No, hate them.
No, the rest of us are fine, Chemo. It's just Steve.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with the French.
I got no issues with the French.
It's an old-time English thing of cutting down the French for absolutely no reason. Steve's still living in the past and doing it.
That's just a legacy. It's a British thing.
A 40s thing, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's every duty of
This is CPM. Will you come and say hello to the guys? Just say hello. Go on.
I can see your pussy, CPM.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
He's just jumped off. Mrs. CPM wants to say hello.
No, I didn't. No.
Go on, just say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. CPM.
Everyone said hello, Mrs. CPM, like they're at school. Hello, Mrs. CPM.
Oh my God. Can I just say something to you?
You can, yeah, but you're not. I'm not.
He's in trouble. He's in trouble.
I'm in trouble. They all think I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble?
Yeah, apparently.
No, you're not in trouble, but the cabin
Yeah.
needs locking up because I can't lock it up.
I shall lock
so-
the studio up. Yeah.
Yes,
no worries.
because you have a habit of not doing it
That's
and
it.
leaving
Just
it open.
flag me off in front of everybody.
Right, I've got his address. I'll be going in
Bad
that
boy.
studio, nicking everything.
You need
See you
that
later.
pimp hand
Don't
CPM.
That's it. I'm getting so much grief.
Just reminding you because you'll
Yeah.
probably forget.
Thank you very much.
Because you're a silly little boy.
I am a silly. The Cobra said I'm a silly little boy.
A silly little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's being told off like a silly little
I'm
boy.
just
You'll
reminding
forget.
you, that's all.
Thank you very much.
Because
Right. Can I continue?
yes,
Thank you.
you
Cheers.
can.
Thank you. Right. Sorry about that. Sorry. What was we saying?
That you must lock the studio door, bruv.
I will. I left it open all night the other night. So
Yeah.
like an idiot.
Is this some sort of like secret message to Camel? You know, a bit further inland, just drop it off in the studio, Camel.
Yeah. Exactly.
Give
Yeah.
it out.
It's a code. 20 keys, Camel, this week.
That's a lot of weight.
It is a lot of weight, but I've got big t-shirts, dude. What the fuck was we talking about?
We were talking about the Olympic
Bennett.
ceremony and Stephen's
we were-
Oh, yes,
hatred
well, I
for
was
the
going to ask
French.
Steve. Yeah, Stephen. We
Yes.
was talking about what can we do, like a bit more of a lighter note on going forward. What's the best way forward?
For me personally,
Yeah, go on.
gold. That's what I will invest my money in. I will put it in one pot. Ooh, I can hear the ooh. You should never do that.
No, that's fine. No, you got to do what you got to do.
You never go full retard. Now,
I've
so-
got little bits of money tucked away here, there, and everywhere. So
I'm not all in gold. I got some silver too.
a lot of silver.
You sold it all.
I've sold about a third of it.
Diversification.
Cobra got upset because I got more than him, and he told him.
I don't mind that, bruv. I'm happy if you've got more than me, man. That's
I
good.
haven't got more than any do. I haven't.
No one's got more than Cobra. That's
I
fucking
know.
ridiculous.
It's been out of his ears. He's got that much.
I'm a lowly little being, just surviving on the edge of society.
Even his beard is silver.
What the fuck did that mean?
That's true.
What the fuck was that? I'm a lonely little being just surviving on the edge of society.
He's been at
I don't know what that was. I just
I have
said it.
no idea, dude. That's got to be the quote of the fucking podcast. That is.
He's been at the Baileys again.
Yeah.
No, not yet. Not yet. I wish I was.
Not yet.
So what are our thoughts on the precious metals, guys? We good? Is it looking good?
Yeah, it's the same thing we say all the time, brother. I think gold will do really well.
Need to
Gold is my safe haven and my main investment. And silver's just a little backup, a lot more volatile. But I still have a bit of faith in it. And Bitcoin's my little plaything now where I'll just add a bit here and there and not worry about it. I learned a lot from the last drop. So yeah, that's my three. Gold first, number one. Silver and Bitcoin, play around.
Yeah, the gold chart's looking pretty good. You did have Andrew on your channel yesterday, Campbell, and he was talking about some kind of cycle coming in 2025, some
Yep.
kind of cycle low. Do you remember when that was? When the cycle low comes, the major cycle low?
We are expecting relative outperformance from the SPX for a couple of months, I think, and then both to make a low a couple of months afterwards, and then gold
Okay.
outperformance.
Yeah.
So like 4 months ish, I think.
That meant nothing. Are you talking about gold there? Like your actual SPX and all that? What are you talking about? Are you talking about gold?
Gold and
Risk on,
stock
risk
market.
off.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
in
risk
hitting
on, risk
lows?
off.
Sorry.
As in hitting lows first, going lower first, and then
I think the implication is both move higher, but the stocks move faster. And then
Right.
they both get a sell-off, and then gold rips.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, for longer term investors, if you're not a trader, then yeah, the thing's going up. And that's it. There'll be shakeouts along the way, right? Nothing moves in straight lines, but
Is that physical or ETFs?
both.
Should be both until you can no longer trade ETFs if
Yeah.
that happens for some reason. Then physical just goes bananas.
Isn't-
But yeah,
is-
like Campbell said, there should be shakeouts, and you'll in a bull market, it's very often that you're going to see sell setups, or they're going to give you a reason to sell before it continues up. But for right now, chart is making higher highs, higher lows on very, very large time frames. It's a bullish chart on gold, precious
But
metals.
Isn't the ETF gold market oversubscribed like the silver one?
The
I
ETF should track the price of gold. So if gold
No,
moves,
what I'm saying is that people who buy silver and gold with ETFs, there's not enough gold and silver to pay them all if you're waiting going, right, cashing in.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's having problems with the LBMA and the COMEX. I think they're having problems on delivery. And there's like record number of silver deliveries happening. I think it was on the
Yeah.
LBMA.
Yeah,
Like
China's
900 and
buying
something.
silver in India.
Yeah. Central banks are printing their money and buying gold and silver, it seems. Debasement. Now, is
And
that
that's
because
where,
it's going up or because it's going to hold its purchasing power? But go ahead, Camel.
yeah, that's where physical, again, it comes back to having no counterparty risk, right? If you hold the physical asset, then it doesn't matter what happens to the ETFs.
Yeah. ETFs can go to zero. Which if they're not giving physical delivery, like if there's a problem with the physical delivery on these ETFs, maybe they do go to zero and they no longer track the price. That would be a huge blow up. Wow.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I've said this a bunch of times, but I'll say it again. If you look at any ETF, it has something called a KIDS document, Key Investor Information Document. And if you have a look in there, it says somewhere, usually towards the second page at the bottom, it will say words to the effect of, if we go bankrupt or if we lose your money, we owe you zero. You bear 100% of the risk. So everyone that holds the ETFs to track gold or silver, they are literally just holding an IOU where they've already signed away their rights to receive any payment in the event that these things blow up through excessive rehypothecation.
It's kind of like fiat currency then, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's an IOU.
Yep.
I owe you a debt.
So if you want to hedge that risk, if you want to not have counterparty risk, you need to hold the physical metal.
Yeah. I'd rather plus the physical metal is nice to play with.
No,
So
I mean like physical gold or silver, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can actually fondle it.
bundle.
How liquid is that? Like, how quickly can you transact with your physical, like to get it back to the broker?
My physical gold, I can sell it tomorrow like that.
Depends on the quantity, right?
Well, if you're posting it, it's £2,500 worth. But if you're taking it to the dealer, it's the same. That's it. They'll buy it off you. I know Charles will.
Yeah, they'll take it. You could sell it in a day.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, you could sell it in a day quite easily.
But silver's much more difficult to sell. Way more.
Yeah, you're gonna take a massive haircut on silver.
On some things you can, some things you don't. It's like we were talking about this last night. When I first started stacking silver, Britannias were £14 an ounce, and I bought mine from Germany because the VAT rate over there wasn't 20% like it is here. And then when we Brexited, we couldn't get the silver from Germany at their rate of VAT. We had to pay our rate of VAT. So anything that you bought from them before 2020 was at their rate of VAT. So all the Britannias I bought are all before 2020. So I paid an average between £14 and £18, depending on spot ups and downs at that time. So, and I'm selling them for 26 quid. So I'm making around about £10 for each coin, and I've got a monster box. I had a monster box, all of them. So I've made about five grand on them. But then on something to take a hit, like bars, I think I've lost about a couple of £100 on my bars, but it's paid off with the selling the Britannias. If they were like Maples or ASEs, yeah, I'd probably lose on them because you wouldn't be able to sell them because Britannia is so liquid. But bars are phenomenally hard to ship, unless it's one that everybody like. Got 3 Graces. What was the one after 3 Graces? Come on, help me. I had a lot of them. I had 50 of them. Everybody bought them off me. Una and the Lions. I sold those. I got them all. I bought them all from Canada, so no VAT. They didn't get stopped at the border, so I made a bit of a killing on those. Made about £15 on each bar. So you make money on some things and you lose money on some things. Same with the Queen's Beats. I was buying Queen's Beats, 2 ounces of silver, £28 when the first ones came out.
Wow.
60 and £70 a pop now.
My question, I got a question that's going to bring it back to doom and gloomers, but when the price of gold goes up, do you guys feel excitement with that? Or is it one of those things that you don't want to necessarily go up, but it's part of your portfolio to protect you?
It depends. It depends. If you're not stacking anymore, the gold price is going up. It's like, yes, love it. But if you're buying,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. That's exactly what it is. If you're still buying, then yeah, you don't want to see it going up straight away. You want to buy more, and it gets harder and harder to buy big 1 ounces and all that. But if you've got your thing and you're happy with it, then yeah, absolutely, let it shoot.
But it's
So
going to
yeah, it
shoot.
depends on where you are.
That means really bad things for everybody else, though. Like I say the same thing about Bitcoin. When people are calling for $100,000 Bitcoin, it's like you realize that means something is seriously broken, right? And it's not a good time for the majority of the population. So a small portion of the population that does actually stack gold and silver as the price is going up, that means worse things for the majority.
I get that, brother. But at the end of the day, why are you stacking gold or why are you holding Bitcoin? You're holding it so that eventually it goes up in price. You already know that means there's problems in the economic world, right? So that's just a consequence of it. When there's war, when there's a bad thing in the stock markets, gold shoots up. We know this, but that's why we're holding it. So yeah, blatantly, it's affecting other people in different ways, but that's why we do it.
Is it The Big Short where he's like, just don't dance? Anyone seen this?
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
I do.
Yeah, he's like, just don't dance. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's not good for the rest of the world. But we can make our decisions, we can benefit from that, but you don't have to dance and celebrate on the losses of everyone else, right?
Well, when I first started stacking, all my friends thought I was a sad geeky collector. I said, I'm not a collector, I'm a stacker. What's that mean? And I told him, oh, you'll never make any money on that. Who's laughing now? So I don't give a shit about other people. Sorry.
Yeah, but as I say, we're doing it for a reason. We're doing it so that we have money in the future. We're doing it to save our money and to have it increase. So at the end of the day, yes, that's a consequence of it. But that's just why we do it, so that when everyone else is in shit, we've done something about it. And we advise people all the time, stack gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever. We tell people that for a reason.
Yeah, I told them, they just geeky sad coin collector. I said, oh, well. And then I told them how much I paid for my first ounce. And who's sorry now? You can mock me now, can't you? Not.
Just don't dance.
I would only help people out in our community because That's where I am. People outside of this community mockers. They laugh at us.
Yeah, I'm more of the, I just want to help people out because I see really bad things coming and I know the majority is not prepared. Like being on social media, getting followers, getting a YouTube channel going. I don't need the fame. I could do without it. But I am so concerned. I lose sleep over what's potentially coming for the majority of populations who they're already struggling. And
Yeah.
to think that it could get worse for them is just like, that's basically all I care about. Me, myself, I'm taken care of. I'm good.
Yeah,
I know.
I am as well. It's
But
like,
that's what I mean, Chemo. Me and CPM have said it. You know, we've done okay. We're privileged in the position we're in. We've managed to stack some stuff. We're good. And yeah, we've talked about society, and I feel for the people who are suffering at the moment and can't afford their mortgages and all that sort of stuff. But then what you're doing and what we're doing is to advise people in the same way. But would I feel, you know, oh, if gold goes up, do I go, oh, damn, I shouldn't have had this gold, you know, other people
Oh,
suffering? You know what I mean? No, I don't. I go, great, thank God I did it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, totally. Like how to protect myself. But that's the thing. You got to educate people on thinking about their purchasing power and thinking about their money in a totally different way than we're taught, say in school and stuff like that. Because we're
some
taught
people, some people
to
don't want to be
save money.
educated though. They'd rather have an 18-inch plasma TV or whatever they are now than put away for the future. So I tell them that they have the latest car, the latest phone. You know, I'm a bit for the
But
latest phone.
I did all that, Steve. I was that person. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not, you know, I can't, I can't turn around and put anyone down for that because I wasn't educated in it and I didn't understand. And I was going out and buying all this stuff, you know, and now I'm sort of downsizing some of my stuff like my cars and motorbike and all that lot. But it's only because I've got into gold and silver that I understand my money a bit better now. And I'm like trying to adjust it, you know what I mean? So I don't put them down for that. I just think they haven't looked at it the way I didn't look at it back in the day, and now I am looking at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I only do it to my friends who mock me. But look, they deserve it. They deserve it. They've mocked me, giving me a real hard time about it. You never make any money with that. And I'm sorry, who's making it now? One in particular.
Spill the beans. Spill the beans.
Oh, he's a fucking know-it-all fucking prick.
What is that? Me?
No, nobody on here. It's a personal friend who I've known for like this was at school. His ex-missus runs a pub. He has no experience of running a pub, yet he comes on. I'm friends with her as well. She told me, he says he comes in here, he takes dog for a walk and takes kids with him. He says he comes in the pub and tells her how to run her pub. And she's run pubs for like 20 years and he's never run a pub. But he knows it all. He knows it all.
Yes.
He came on to me, you know, when gold went up and it went really up. He says, oh, bet you're making a right killing on your gold, aren't you? Yeah, that same gold that you mocked me for buying and owning. You know,
so something that I mentioned to somebody this week that I was talking to about money management, it kind of just came to me spur of the moment. And I was talking about saving money in cash versus how much you're spending. And I put the example to him, like, say you have $10,000 saved up. So essentially your liquid net worth is $10,000. And you want to go out and buy one of those big plasma TVs and spend $1,000 on it. And you have to think of it in terms of if you buy that TV, you're spending 10% of your current liquid net worth on one purchase that you don't necessarily need.
Yeah.
In a trading a chart, 10% is a massive move. Like gold going up 10% is just like massive. It makes the headlines. And you're willing to just dump 10% of your liquid net worth into a frivolous item. So I would advise people to think about their net worth and versus what they're spending and what they actually need. Like that's a large percentage. I mean, even 5% is a decent chunk.
I even taught my dad into buying a bit of gold. He bought 10 ounces of gold 2 years ago. I think it was like 1,300, 1,400 an ounce. And I'm reluctant to do this. You won't be in the next couple of years. And now it's like what, 1,900, 1,890, 1,900 an ounce now. I says, you just made £400 an ounce. You bought 10 ounces. What's that? You made £400 times 10.
1,900 pounds an ounce. I still think the current prices of precious metals compared to history, they're just ridiculously low for what they should be at, given the inflation. It's crazy to think that these prices haven't moved much in 5 years, something like that. I mean, big cup and handle pattern. We're revisiting 2010 prices. I think it made it up to 1,900 US dollars per ounce, and it took a while to get back to that point. And it's like, it just seems really undervalued for that time frame and how much money printing has gone on.
Oh, that well, like I said, I bought my first ounce. It was just under £1,000 an ounce. It's like 900. Right. That was like beginning of 2019.
That's where the opportunity is, though, right? The fact that it is actually undervalued significantly right now.
That's what the charts say. Well, that's the way I'm viewing it anyway.
That's what the fundamentals say too.
Yeah, 100 years ago you were at 30 bucks an ounce, and here we are 100 years later, substantially higher, but in relative to how much money printing there is, I think it's been in a downtrend / accumulation versus the M2. And I think the first time you and I went on live, Camel, that we pulled up that chart, gold versus M2, and I was like, this looks like a great setup, like accumulation, swing failure pattern. This thing is going to go up versus M2 money supply. That should be pretty strong in the coming probably 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I've likened it to buying Bitcoin at 3K. And I've said before, I don't think it's going to go to 60K an ounce. Like Bitcoin went from 3K to 60K, but I'm pretty sure like this is a big opportunity staring at us.
Yeah. 30, 40K.
I think it can do. I think if we're being super conservative, 15K.
Yeah.
And then anything above that is the gravy. And if you balance it out versus the M2 supply, that gives you 42,000 an ounce, which sounds insane. And anyone that hears me say that will be like, what was he talking about? 42K an ounce? But that's just the maths based on if you match it to the base layer of M2. So I think pretty much anyone's target is going to prove to be conservative, especially if we get to the point where they actually have to do another round of true QE, right? True money printing and Fed balance sheet expansion. Then nobody's target is high enough.
So then do they let us ride it up? Is there a trade setup that we're going to actually be able to take advantage of? Or is it similar to the 1930s where the U.S. had their executive order 6102, 6108, where they confiscated it?
I don't know. I thought it was 208. Yeah, maybe 08 sounds better.
2 or 8. 8's got a nice ring to it. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So they just confiscated it first, and then almost overnight, it may have actually been a law that was just passed. Yeah, the gold. What was it called? Something about the Gold Act or something like that, and it just immediately 80% rise in the. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we do something like that? Because having your population actually take advantage of that kind of defeats the purpose for the government to maintain its control over you.
Sure.
So that's something that we're looking at coming soon. Is there going to be some kind of crisis where, for the greater good, turn in your gold, turn in your Bitcoin, it's for the greater good. Otherwise, our country is failing. And it's like, well,
can they pull that off twice, though? The first time, but can they pull it off a second time? I'm not sure.
It would be more difficult, I would say, but it goes along with they make the rules as they go. So if they need to make that rule, who's to stop them?
Then we got to lose it in a boating accident.
Yeah, a lot of
How did
boating
they
accidents.
police
Record
that?
number of boating accidents.
How did they police that, getting everyone to do it, or how would they do it now? How did they do it before, and how would they do it now?
They made a law, right, Chemo? They just made it a law that it was illegal to hold gold past a certain date, and it was illegal to buy and sell it and trade it. And you had an amnesty period to turn it in and get $30 or $35 an ounce. And if you didn't,
20, 22,
And
$25 an ounce.
what was spot at the time? Was it that amount, or
yeah, it was. It was roughly that amount, wasn't it, Chemo? But then they doubled the price after the amnesty date.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from
Wow.
25 to 32 to 38. Yeah, to 38.
So they took it, and then they increased, or the price increased. Right.
Yeah, they took it and then doubled the price, basically.
Wow.
Immediately.
Well, but
So
the
they
American
passed the
guys
executive.
that I spoke to said it was kind of voluntary. We were doing a patriotic act because the government told them you didn't have to hand it in, it was voluntary. But they got a lot in. And that's where you get, the pre-33 coins. For anything pre-33, you could keep. Am I right? Is that right?
I thought you could only keep jewelry.
Jewelry, you can keep jewelry. You can keep collection pieces, but you couldn't sell them necessarily. And you were allowed to hold basically five sovereigns, 5 ounces of gold. Anything more than that, you had a prison sentence of 10 years or pay a fine of $10,000 or potentially both. And they actually did try to enforce this on a few people. And I don't know, I read the whole wiki page on it. It's a very interesting story. But it was basically a trade setup. And it was, here, you guys are now bag holders of our fiat. Oh, guess what? Those lost 50% of their value overnight. Thank you for playing.
But the story I heard, that's why the US gold, the pre-33 US gold, you could keep that. Anything before 1933, you could keep it. That's why they call pre-33 coins.
No, the 33, that was when they started minting those. So they actually kind of retrieved all the 1933 coins and destroyed them all of them, but like 15 of those. That's why those are so valuable, the 1933 gold coins. Extremely valuable. But no, any gold, they needed to turn it in order to, well, they say to make the gold reserves more stable in the United States, basically to let the government hoard the gold. But it was really just to make the populations bag holders of their fiat currency that they devalued almost 50% overnight. It's like your purchasing power is gone, but it's for the greater good. It's to help everybody. To get us out of the Great Depression. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what me and Camel have been talking about with regards to current charts. People are talking about liquidity is coming, and yeah, liquidity probably is coming, but usually it happens on a swing failure pattern. So what they do is liquidate the investors, traders, the whole market essentially before they're able to actually print. So the crisis would allow for printing of money and devaluation of currency. They can only do it up to a certain point, according to modern monetary theory. If they go beyond a certain point, it affects inflation. So what they have to do is rein in the money supply back to the government so that they can then print it and reallocate it in the directions that they want. And that's what gives you the economic expansion, the monetary base expansion, the printing of money. All asset prices go up, assuming you're still holding any assets, if you're allowed to. It's a vicious game.
Mad.
Yep.
Guys, this is nearly 3 hours.
Time flies.
It does indeed.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think we made the 2 mark yet. We're at almost 3.
Yeah. 10
well
o'clock will be 3 hours.
Might want to edit this one.
Yeah.
No, I won't edit it at all. Yeah, it's fun. I'm going to wrap it up. Do you want to say anything else? Anyone? I've really enjoyed this. I haven't said a lot, obviously. I'm just, do you know, one of the biggest things I find listening to different people from different aspects of the community, For me personally, I just find it so interesting because it really opens up my mind into how people think, what the viewpoints are, and I really appreciate the discussion. I think that can only be really beneficial. God knows what the outcome's going to be, personally, but what do we say? We've got to hedge against it the best way possible. That's the way I look at it all. So,
Yeah, mentally prepare for it. That's my thinking, is be mentally stable enough to just push through it.
Sure. Anyone else?
Being emotional.
Being emotional. Can I swear again and just say, oh, fuck off, Steve?
Ounce of silver each.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's probably
The
cost
skin
me
bite end at night.
It's cost me half my stack tonight. Guys, thank you very much. If you want to continue to conversate, the problem I've got is wifey sleeps right above my office, and she goes off to bed at 10. So, but if you want to continue it, we can set up something else, and I can do it mobile. It's up to you.
Yeah. Don't forget to lock the studio.
Pardon?
Don't forget to lock the studio.
Oh yeah, you got to lock the studio.
Or you will be in trouble, young man.
Guys, I've been reminded about 50 times. Oh, and just about reminded again.
51.
No, you are not.
Mrs. CPM.
Anybody
You reckon I loiter in the background?
I've never known anybody exaggerate so much.
Well,
I've probably said it about twice.
You've never known anyone to exaggerate as much as Cobra?
No, you.
Oh, right, me. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Well, you said I'd said it 50 times. I mean, that is so over the top.
I know. Don't worry.
Oh, poor Barley. He got. Oh,
I know. I'm sitting on the cat's chair as well, so I'm getting loads of grief here, guys.
Oh, that's so mean. Sitting on
You know your place,
chair.
don't you?
Yeah, totally, mate. I know my place. You know, absolutely. No, guys, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
No worries. I'm going to wrap up the recording now. Obviously, we're talking a minute. Thank you very much for coming. Anyone want to say anything else?
No, just thank you, and a
thanks.
very enjoyable chat. All of you, thank you to all of you.
Yep, same.
Great night. Nice to meet the two new guys who I've never spoke to before. And don't forget to lock the studio.
No, 100%. I cannot now. I cannot fail. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.